Alrighty, well, welcome to this week's Talk or Ask Us Anything. As usual, it's been a busy week at Tesla and I guess by extension, SpaceX. One interesting little snippet that Elon Musk, on behalf of Tesla, recently lobbied the UK government to basically introduce higher taxes on fossil fuels, which is an interesting step to make, a very logical one, of course. And I think Elon Musk has been on the record for some time as saying he didn't really want to have subsidies for EVs per se, much better to have effectively a carbon tax. And I guess by advocating to the UK government that they increase taxes on fossil fuels, that's a great step in the right direction. You know, it's obviously something that would be useful to be done here, which could be done quite easily with an extra, you know, fuel levy or excise. But yeah, that's an interesting sort of step.
In Australia, Harold, we could just lower some of the incentives for fossil fuels.
Absolutely, Pete. Absolutely.
Not only that, but what's wrong with, say, a $1,000 tax on all new ICE cars?
Nothing at all.
Yeah,
Yes,
or a $500 on all plug-in hybrids, $1,000 on all hybrids and ICE.
You've just got to look, you know, for new cars, yes, and maybe just the very lower end. You may have to, you know, look out for the people that can't afford it, because you wouldn't want to, you know, the unintended consequence may be encouraging someone to drive an old car, which has got, you know, much lower efficiency for longer. So, you know, for someone that can't afford it and that $1,000 makes a difference, well, that's, you know, at that level, maybe you need to fine tune it. But overall, absolutely nothing wrong.
Perhaps you could actually divert that $1,000 into a buyback scheme for old ICE cars. So you actually have an incentive to flush them through the system. So you use some of the
cash for clunkers.
Yeah, $1,000. Yeah, cash for clunkers. That way, EVs would be neutrally priced or neutrally taxed. New fossil cars would be well, taxed higher. And it's almost like an STC in reverse. You're virtually paying forward all the damage you're doing to the environment in the future use of that car. And then you redirect that to get rid of the clunkers. And then hopefully EVs will just continue to gain market share. Something like that.
Alternatively, what you could do is you could just have a market mechanism that correctly prices externalities. Like, you know, you can't throw your garbage bags out onto the street. You've got to pay the council to come and collect your rubbish. Yeah, with the car, you can dump all your pollutants and particulates into the atmosphere, and you don't get, you know, you don't pay for it. So someone pays for it with their health, and we pay for it through increased costs to health budgets through taxes, but you don't pay for it directly. So, yes, you know, that's probably the most efficient way of doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And once you've got that proper price signal, then everything flattens out, and you know, businesses make the right decisions and produce the right products.
The market decide. Yeah.
Exactly. Let's see. Speaking of other markets, we see that Volkswagen has held what they called their Power Day, and it was sort of a bit interesting, I guess.
What a load of rubbish!
Well, look,
no. It was announced daylight.
Well, they've announced that by 2030 they're going to produce approximately 240 gigawatt hours of batteries per annum.
Which is what Tesla is going to do in 2.
Yes, and it's going to be
not
less
already
than 10% of what Tesla has aimed to do in 2030. So I don't know how that bodes as far as Volkswagen's projected EV sales by 2030 or market share, knowing full well that Europe is effectively banned, or most countries in Europe have banned ICE cars of any form by 2030. So that's going to be quite interesting.
But I mean, they kept saying about, oh, it'll reduce this by 50%, but they didn't say from what. Yeah, 50% from it's like sales, half price, but we doubled it last week.
Well, isn't that what you always do, Nigel? You always put your stuff up a couple of days before the sale, so that then ultimately you're not actually discounting anything at all.
Yeah, well, I think that's what they were doing. It's 50% or 75%, and yes, and it'll charge in half the time. From what?
Yes,
That's why I said
indeed.
it was the biggest load of rubbish going.
But you got to give them credit. But to put it into perspective, there's no one apart from VW, from the legacy automakers at least, that's anywhere near close to, even with their ambitions, you know, trying to match or get even close to Tesla. And as Harold said, their 2030 targets are 10% of Teslas.
Yeah,
so to put it into perspective, the second most ambitious car maker that's looking to make a difference is only, and this is a goal, you know, this is a target, you know, their targets are a tenth of Tesla's.
Yeah, look, I'll give them credit for doing what they're doing, but it was the way they presented it was terrible.
Yeah.
I guess they were trying to put lipstick on a pig, and that's difficult to do. Well, it's easy to do. It's difficult to make it look nice. But, actually, speaking of pigs, and those things often are spit roasted. Tesla's Gigapress in Fremont was involved in a bit of a fire, which was sort of interesting. There hasn't really been a lot of news since the actual day of the fire. So I think it took about 3 hours, or the fire fighters were on site for about 3 hours until they declared it sort of finished.
The local Tesla fire officers had got it pretty much under control by the time the fire brigade arrived.
Yes, indeed. It makes a lot of sense if you've got a big, valuable factory like that you're going to have your own fire team on hand 24/7.
Well, if you have a look at the way the Texas Terra factory or Gigafactory is being built, and you look at the flyovers, and he keeps saying, and here's a huge trench going around the outside that's part of the fire control system. It's just a big pipe for water. So they've built all that in.
What was interesting actually is the Gigapress that's installed at Fremont actually is it's in a shed in the back lot of Fremont, and it's got like a huge chimney or a huge opening and like a huge hole in the roof. But what's interesting is that Terra Factory Texas, or Giga Texas, that's actually under a solid roof. So I wonder if now they know that these things can catch on fire, what they're going to do as far as, because it's not the fire that kills people or you know, per se, you know, causes injuries, it's the smoke. So it's going to be very interesting to see what they may or may not do to retrofit or modify the Texas Gigafactory, because
surely they have got to have had smoke extraction things going on anyway.
Or they might allow the roof to open up, like, you know, Rod Laver Arena, Aussie Open.
The thing is, it's all solid, because on the latest, you know, you've got drone flights there basically daily, and they are basically completely enclosed. I'll bring that up in 2 seconds.
If you have a look at Giga Berlin with the flyovers, they were making a commentary that, they must be air conditioning ducts going in. There were huge tubes hanging from the ceiling. So I actually thought, well, maybe they're extraction pipes to help either turn the air over, or in the case of fire, get rid of the smoke.
Yeah, I'm not.
I don't know. I mean, it could be aircon, but it makes sense.
Yes, because if
knowing Elon, it'll be dual purpose. It'll blow air in, and then in the case of a fire, it will suck the smoke out.
Basically, the Gigapresses are right under here. In fact, the first one is just where my mouse is there. So that's clearly a very solid roof. Although there is a gap here, but I think that's just going to get filled in. So unless they do put in extraction tubing, it's pretty much indoors. But hey, maybe with this fire, which they obviously didn't expect, they may change what they're going to do, or slightly modify the design.
Perhaps when Elon watches this later, he could put a comment below.
Yes, yeah, please like and subscribe and hit the notification bell, Elon. And yeah, feel free to put comments. It's all good. We'll take positive criticism, just like you do.
From now on, you shall call him the Techno King of Tesla.
The Techno King. That's right.
And master of coin.
Yes. I'm glad I'm not one of the securities and SEC
Securities Exchange Commission.
Securities Exchange Commission employees that have to read these filings and go, is that even a thing? Is this guy playing with us?
He clearly did it for their benefit. So.
Well, there was a time when he actually removed, and he tweeted this out, he had removed all reference to any position in Tesla whatsoever until they found out that actually all legal companies in the States have to have a CEO, chairman of the board, and some
company secretary.
Yeah. So he wasn't able to literally define himself away from any task at all.
But he got away with it for about 3 weeks or so, didn't he?
I guess the wheels sort of move slowly, as they probably should at the SEC. But yeah, I certainly don't relish working there. That's for sure. Not when you're getting live tweeted to at all hours of the morning. But yes, that's quite interesting. And who Jerome Gillian was heavy trucking or something. He's changed his role to heavy truck.
Yeah,
heavy trucks. Which
is heavy trucking.
Yeah. Let's see, what else have we got? We've got basically on oblique to the Tesla news, we've got Starlink services have arrived in Germany and New Zealand, which is obviously a lot closer. So that should be exciting. Hopefully Australia will be coming, pretty soon, since we're in the same sort of region. So I dare say it's probably just a paperwork issue and a few other things, logistics that SpaceX have to overcome to finally bring their service here, which is great because there's a few of us here tonight that have got reservations for the, is it Dishy McFlatface or something like that? The actual dish that you get. I think it's called something like that. And also SpaceX has targeted Q3 for their first orbital Starship flight, which I guess will be exciting to see once they work out how to land these things properly. But that's details.
Well, technically, it's just the flights that they're targeting, not necessarily the landing.
They landed it fine. They just didn't land it the second time.
True.
Well, they did. It's just they landed it in pieces.
And SN11 is getting fueled right now.
Is that true?
Probably only for a test, but not for the actual
yes.
flight. But any day now, they're going to just fly SN11.
Yeah, according to the space launch schedule, it's 2 days and 2 hours. Well, a couple of sleeps. And
I liked the expression rapid, unexpected deconstruction.
Unscheduled,
right.
Rapid, unscheduled deconstruction. I thought that was excellent.
I've got a fantastic.
Boom.
I've got a fantastic book called Double Speak that you'll like. It's full of stuff like that from the US military. My favorite was the personnel overpressure threshold, which is basically, when something squashes personnel. And there's a few other ones like that, and they're real, so I'll learn it to you next time I see you, Nigel. You'll love it.
That reminds me of in the space industry, how parts used to be horrendously expensive. Well, they still are, and in the military they often are. And they had something that they described as a hexaform rotatable surface compression unit. And that's just a nut. But wow, it just sounds expensive when you have it such a long title as that.
It's like a friend of mine used to be a dish pig, and he said, no, I'm a underwater ceramics technician.
That's almost as good as a sandwich artist, but we digress.
Yes.
Hey, I think we got quite a few new people here tonight, so welcome. Looking around, James, you're not new, but you're new to Ask Us Anything, so welcome. And Thomas, I believe you're new.
Yes. Yes, I am. Yeah, this is the first time I've attended one of these.
Excellent,
Yep.
welcome. You've got a Model 3, I presume?
Thank you. My wife is the 3. I've got an S. So
Fantastic. A dual Tesla family. That's even better. There's
yes, once I had one, we had to get another.
very wise move. Very wise move. So you're the S man and your wife is the 3.
Yes, that's right. So
Cool.
yeah, she's got. Actually, I really like the 3. The 3 is a really nice vehicle.
It is.
It's great fun.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Did you have the S first and then the 3? Or
Yes, that's right. So I really wanted to get one, and I'd been balking at it for ages. And in the end, I just went, I can't wait for the 3. I'm going to get an S. So that's what I did. It was secondhand. But then once we had it and we just saw the efficiency and just enjoyed it so much. Kim, my wife, wasn't that keen initially, but I ordered it and paid for it. And since she's had it, you'd never prize her out of it.
It's a classic case of, I know you're upset right now, but trust me, you're going to love it. And they always do.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
That's exactly. Yeah, you're right.
Okay,
I'm
we've
glad to hear that worked for you, Thomas.
And there is actually. Sorry?
No, go on.
Yes, it's just as well it worked for me. Otherwise, I'd never hear the end of it. You did right there. That's what you said.
And welcome, Kylie.
Hello, sorry I'm late.
That's okay.
Was busy trying to get something else to work. Yeah. I am picking up my 3 next week. Yay! At last.
Awesome. Awesome.
Feels like forever.
So details, it's a SR Plus?
It's a red long range.
Awesome. Wow.
So because I live in Kalgoorlie, so I need the range.
Yes.
And there's another guy in Kalgoorlie getting a white long range as well.
Fantastic. Wow, so Kalgoorlie's got 2 Teslas at least.
Yeah, so, and my husband's already decided he wants a Y after driving the 3 once.
You need to tell your husband that he's got to wait in line, because there's a few of us here, such as Ken and myself, that are already hankering for one, and we keep hitting every day. We keep hitting the Model Y order page, and it keeps just saying stay updated.
Whenever you see the light on Ken's, whenever you see the light on Ken's face, that's what he's doing. He's just refreshed the page again.
I wouldn't mind a Cybertruck, because my other car's a Sahara, a Land Cruiser. My daughter said she would leave home if I bought a Cybertruck. But they're all very pleased to hear the 3's coming.
Okay, hang on. So how old's your daughter? Is she almost old enough to leave home? Because that could be a bonus.
Yeah, well, she's 14. So, my son's been obsessed with Teslas since the first one came out, and dragged me to a showroom a few years ago in Florida. And he gets his P's in September, so seems to think he'll be driving mine.
Well, I think Ken's got some experience in having a learner in his car. Yeah. So it has been done before.
Yeah, I'm not planning to tell my son that.
That's good, James. James
My
learned to drive
20-year-old thinks he's going to get to drive it too. I said, yeah, maybe to play beach buggy. But that's about it. But I've told my husband that I might have to put it in valet mode when he drives it.
Ooh,
So yeah, we'll see how that goes.
that would be
The
cool.
valet mode, I just put it into autopilot.
Yeah.
Doesn't like autopilot. I borrowed Bruce's in December and drove it up to Cowell and back to have a play and make sure I was happy. And I took him once on the main street and got it to auto change lanes, and he went, no, not buying one. He didn't like it at all. He likes control.
Oh, that is such a temporary sentiment. Trust me, when you're tired.
Whereas I drove from Southern Cross to Kalgoorlie without any intervention. I went, oh my God, when can I get this car?
Well, you can get it next week.
I can tell you though that driving in autopilot at night on Great Eastern Highway with semi-trailers coming the other way, it sits far too right for me. It feels very close to the semi-trailers.
Yeah.
Yes.
It tends to do that. And even when you're taking a turn, it's human nature to try and cut the corners. So you almost feel more comfortable if you'd cut the corner, but it tries to stay in the middle of the lane, and it feels like you're, too far to the right.
I'm good friends with the senior sergeant of the police station who's just bought a Camaro. Anyway, he had challenged me to a drag race when my Tesla
you'll
gets
win
here.
that hands down.
And last week he said, I've changed my mind. I've decided I'm not dragging you. And I said, I'll watch some YouTube videos. Have you? It's decided that maybe he doesn't want to drag me after all. He thinks I'll win. I said, as long as it means I get 3 months with no speeding fines, that's fine with me.
Yes, you should get credit. That's right. Exactly.
You'll definitely win the first bit. He'll get you further up, but you'll win the first bit. You'll win the start, that's for sure.
My dad's got a Mustang, which my daughter's obsessed with, but he won't drag me either. They're all very boring.
Well, they're very wise. They've learned from other people's experience, which is a much better way to do it. You do know you've got great charging in Kalgoorlie. You've got the, apart from the view on Hannon's, although only one of them is working, I think, you've also got the City of Kalgoorlie Boulder admin building, and it's free charge.
The thing is, I don't need charging in Kalgoorlie.
Yes, because you
So
live
I live
there.
here.
Yes, that's right.
I need charging on the way here. I'm very concerned about Merredin, which I've been talking to David about, because when I came through with Bruce's 3, the Merredin chargers weren't working, and the chargers at the Oval were only doing 7 kilowatts, and I couldn't get them working. It took me 45 minutes to get them working, and then when I got them working, they were only charging at 7. I didn't know about the 3-phase at Southern Cross for the first 2 hours until Bruce rang me and said, get off there, go to Southern Cross, use the 3-phase PowerPoint. So we need to fix the route. So Merredin charges apparently been fixed, but they're still locked to business hours, and I'm never going to be driving through Merredin at business hours.
Yep. Obviously, you've got PlugShare.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So for anyone else who's watching, that's a critical thing to get, because that will tell you where all the car chargers are, or all the power sources are.
History repeating itself, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, that's right, John. Yeah. Well, this is what happens, unfortunately. So Southern Cross has the 3-phase, but obviously
that's an absolutely awesome charger, by the way. So it's in an oval that's open all the time. It's completely free, nice and shady. There's a little playground there. Absolutely loved it. So I used that twice, on the way up and on the way back. And I got from there to Perth on a charge. So,
and that's on the long range.
That was on Bruce's long range. So
cool.
I'm hoping that on my long range is slightly, that extra 50 Ks longer.
Oh, right.
I'm actually hoping I may be able to get to Perth on one charge if I don't drive like I normally do.
Well, yeah, what you find is for every 10 kilometers an hour less speed you do, you get about 14% better range. But really, with such an awesome car, you can probably just, if you're going to have a break somewhere, say at Southern Cross, just a quick break, go for a quick walk or whatever, stretch your legs. In that time that you top up, you can then just afford to do the speed limit the whole way.
Yeah, so I charged to 80%, I think, at Southern Cross, and then I drove at 110, and when I got to Northam, it told me I had to slow down, and then I got to Baker's Hill, I had to do 85, which sucked. But I spoke to David after that trip, and he said, I had semis sitting on my butt, really cross at me, and he said, what you should have done is pulled over, let one go past, and then sit 7 or 8 car lengths behind it, and he said you would have been able to do 95, no problems. And the car was a bit conservative. I got to Perth with 5%. He said you probably could have gone a bit faster and you still would have got to Perth, no problems. So it's learning the car. I think that's the biggest trip. I'm doing a big long road trip in April with it. I'm going to Carnarvon.
Cool.
So I'm hoping that'll really make me confident with how I can drive it. And I'm going with my husband with the Sahara and a trailer. So I think, oh, well, if all else fails, I'll just draft behind him and I'll be fine.
Right, yes. Which you can actually do. Carnarvon's easy because you've got a fast DC charger at Jurien Bay, which was put in by John Edwards, who is actually on here as well. And you've also got one at Geraldton, which was put in by Tokwa. So
the one in Jurien Bay runs on oil or something. I remember reading something about it. Is that the one that runs on?
Yes, on vegetable oil.
Yeah, that's cool.
We'll be running on vegetable oil. Yep, waste oil, basically chip oil. Yeah. And the one at Geraldton is just on mains. So those two are the most northerly fast DC chargers.
Yeah.
So then once you get to Geraldton, you just got to go to Billabong Roadhouse, which is a.
Well, will I get from Geraldton to Carnarvon?
Not without charging. So you just top up at Billabong Roadhouse. So
because it doesn't come out as that far.
Geraldton to Carnarvon.
Yeah.
It is.
It's 400.
400 Ks. Yes.
Sure, I looked it up the other day.
No, it's 475.
Oh, it's 476.
Yes. So all you do is you just have a break at Billabong Roadhouse. Yeah. And that's actually, you don't need any adapters or anything. That's got a Tesla destination charger. So it's got a high power wall connector.
Yeah.
So that one's easy to use. You don't need any adapters at all. In fact, going up to Carnarvon, you don't need anything.
Yeah, that's what I asked on Facebook because I haven't got a type 2 yet. Yep. And I was trying to work out if I needed one for this trip, and the overwhelming answer was no.
You can certainly borrow one from the club because as a member you get free access to our loan scheme.
Yeah.
So
I might have to borrow a 3-phase one because I got a Gen 1 UMC and got a 3-phase tail, but the Gen 1 UMC is flashing funny errors. So if I can't get it looked at and sorted before this trip, I'm not going to have a 3-phase charger even to get home from Perth to Kalgoorlie next weekend. Although I've got a like one of those wall charger things, I put a 3-phase plug on it, but I'm not keen to drag it all the way to Carnarvon and back.
No, they're not. To be honest, they're not designed to have that happen to them. They're designed to be mounted on the wall and left alone.
Yeah. So we put a 3-phase plug in it because otherwise I'm not going to be able to get home, and I can't borrow a club one to come home because it can't stay here. But I might borrow it for the Carnarvon trip if I can't get this UMC to work.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, obviously.
I've got to go. I've got a woman in labour and the labour ward's bugging me. So I'll have to go and I might try and join back in.
No worries. Excellent. Good to see you. Welcome. And we'll see you again sometime soon. Cool. Moving right along, we have Christian. Welcome.
Evening, gents.
You've got a Model 3, no doubt?
Well, it's in Fremantle, I believe. So it's also taking ownership next week.
Fantastic. That's going to be a big week next week.
Yeah.
There are many, many cars being delivered. It's
That's right.
going to be pretty awesome. So
Yeah,
you,
very excited.
long range SR Plus.
SR Plus in blue. So,
Cool.
yeah.
No, nice. So obviously you've not seen the format of this program, but you know, feel free to pop out any questions or anything that's, you know, that you're not sure of, which is basically everything because it's all brand new. So I'll welcome Alex and Loke. And I think we've got Nigel, the other Nigel S. So all you guys, have you got cars coming or you've already gotten cars?
Hi everyone. I'm getting my SR Plus next week as well.
Cool.
So first time owner, looking forward to it.
Fantastic. And Alex.
I've gotten my Model 3 next Saturday, believe it or not. So long time coming.
Cool.
You ordered yours back in November, didn't you, Alex?
I did, Nigel.
Yeah.
I ordered it back through you. So
it's one of my referrals. I'm glad you're getting it finally.
Finally.
That's great, Nigel, because you can then go and flick Alex that $100 that you owe him for using your referral code.
Goodbye, everybody.
Christian, can you turn the light off
on
the roof of your ceiling there? Like it's really blinding all of us.
I'll just turn my camera
Really?
off.
Is that? It's totally cool, John. It's all good.
You don't need to see my camera. It's all good.
It's a halo.
You didn't have to turn it off completely.
Well, he did because you made him do it, John.
Just the light on the ceiling.
It wasn't too bad.
That's all right.
Yeah. So moving right along. So obviously, what would be useful for you guys who are getting your cars next week or over the next week? One little caution is it's going to be a very fast delivery process because Harry and Josh are going to be flat out delivering cars all day. Well, and every day until the end of this month, because I'm not sure that you're aware that Tesla does the classic end of quarter rush. So obviously there are a lot, like there are 150 plus cars coming to Perth at the end of this week or early next week. And they all have to be delivered by the end of this month or else. So your delivery process is going to be very brief. They just won't have a lot of time to go through all the features of the car. So something like this forum is an ideal place to sort of find out all the things you sort of don't know about the car or are curious about it, how to charge it, how to drive it, you know, all its features and all that sort of thing. What they'll do at the handover is they will basically enroll your phone as a phone key for your car, so then it can basically feed off Bluetooth. I'm sure Harry and Josh have probably already said this to you guys, but make sure you've downloaded your Tesla app on your phone, so you've got it installed, and you've already got your Tesla credentials, so you can actually log into the app. I can't remember, when you log into it now, it'll probably say there's no car allocated, so that'll be done on delivery day, and that car will then be allocated and will appear on your app, so then it will be active. So you won't really see all the features of the app, but one great thing is you can basically control most aspects, well, many aspects of your car, such as locking it, unlocking it, charging. You can turn the air conditioner on. You know, you can see where the car is. You can
honk the horn.
You can honk the horn.
If you forgot where you parked your car in the car park.
Open the boot, which now will be a power lift gate, so it'll lift by itself. The bonnet, you can open it or unlock it, but you can't close it. So if you unlock it remotely, it'll just stay unlocked until someone pushes it closed. But the
just on that point, if you're closing the bonnet, there's a specific way to close it. So you ideally use both hands and put them on either side of the logo. But yeah, you should.
Yeah. I believe that issue has been slightly addressed, though, isn't it? Isn't it better than it was in the past?
Yes, it is. But one issue is the bonnet is made of aluminium, so it's not as stiff as steel. So if you were to push it, say, just in the center, because there are two buffers either side, you may actually compress the center of the bonnet a little bit, which is not ideal, because aluminium is softer and more subject to denting, I guess you could say. Not that it's a problem generally, but just when you're closing it. So they do recommend sort of flat hands either side of the center is ideal. But I mean, you can certainly do it, you know, if you forget or whatever, that's fine, but just don't do it all the time. It's just a slight recommendation. So yeah, so they'll connect your phone. You'll have two credit card RFID card keys, which are generally used. Well, since you've got your mobile phone with you at all times, you can use them more for emergencies. So you just keep one in your wallet, and then I don't know, the other one at home or whatever. Although having said that, they're great if you're going, say, swimming, because the card is waterproof. So obviously, you know, if you can leave your phone in, well, no, you can't leave it in the car, but anyway, leave it at home.
You can turn Bluetooth off.
Yeah, unless you do what my wife did when she was out driving. She couldn't get the car to open with her phone and didn't know why. So she got the card out and tapped that and had to drive on that. But then when I looked at the phone, she'd shut down everything, including the app. And I go, well, it's not going to work without the app running, and so on.
Oh, the app doesn't have to run. You can have the app closed. So are you on? Is she on Android or iOS?
Yeah, Android. The app was closed and it would not work. Run the app, bang, car opened.
Okay. Yeah. But I know I've got an iPhone. I know it works with the app, so I can swipe up and force close the app, and it still works. So, but yeah, you just got to obviously have Bluetooth turned on, so it can't work without Bluetooth. But in terms of using the card for emergencies, if you remember your login and your password to your Tesla account, you know, if you lose your phone or your phone goes dead, you can just grab anyone else's phone that's got Bluetooth, download the app, put your credentials in, and you can open your card. So
yes, and then you can obviously just log out, and that will then forget the password. So you can do that quite safely, casually, to any stranger.
And it doesn't have to be a phone, even an iPad will work. Or
What about your watch?
Yeah, the watch will work, and you can also get a ring, which I bought a ring a couple of weeks ago, but I've lost it.
Yeah, but the watch won't, a standard watch won't work. Sorry, it won't work on Tesla's app.
Sorry, Apple Watch, yeah.
It's got to be an Apple Watch. I've got an Android watch and won't do.
Yeah, but if you've got stats and you've got that all configured up, you actually need, and say for instance your phone has died, you could actually use the watch, can't you? As long as the watch that's got the 3G or the what's the mobile connectivity.
Yeah, correct. And you don't even have to. If you've got stats set up, it's enough just to say, "Hey Siri," and whatever command you've programmed into stats. So you don't even have to open the app on your watch.
Okay.
Hey, what happens if you've never had a watch, right? Not even a digital watch or even analog watch or.
What time is it, John?
TikTok watch.
Time to get a watch.
How do you drive your Tesla with that?
You phone a friend and get
them to unlock it. See, John, for people like you, you just have to have the little surgery and put a little chip underneath your skin.
Which is already there.
For the new guys, because I'm going to bail out soon, right? The new guys that are buying these Model 3s, so it's a magnificent car, right? You know, like, and we have converted one to do some racing. Got a performance version. We put a roll cage in it, and we're getting out amongst the tarmac rally ice cars. And we're doing good, right? So if you're interested, just jot down Targa West and rally results. We're racing this weekend on Saturday down in Pemberton. We're putting ourselves up against the big guys. And look, you know, the Model 3 is a great car. It's indestructible. You'd agree, Harold. We're pushing this car further than anyone else has pushed it, and it's just doing brilliant, right? It's just killing the opposition. It's just
what can I say? Standard performance Model 3 with no mods except for a roll cage, basically, and sticky tires.
And suspension and high temperature brake fluid. And
yeah, we have to do, the first thing we realized we had to do the brakes, right? The brakes, because normally with an electric car, you don't use the brakes, right? But this car, we're braking very hard. Like they're cherry red in the evening events we're doing. So we've had to put aftermarket brake pads. We're still using standard Tesla discs, but it's performing fine. You know, it's killing all the competition. So if you're interested in the Model 3 and how well it performs, keep your eye on this car.
Well, John, just to put the performance of Green Theme into perspective, wasn't it one of the rounds, was it the one at Langley Park? No, I can't remember which round it was where Jürgen came first by about 4 minutes. So in the 130 class last year. So he could have he could have jumped out of the car, got a coffee, got back in, and he still would have come first.
Well, that was 2020. We did the 130 limited category, right? So we're limited to 130 kilometers an hour. And we came home with, 4 minutes to spare, or 8 minutes to spare over the 130 competition.
That's right.
And we beat the 160 competition by 4 minutes. So we just beat everyone that was limited by time by those factors, right? So this year, the organisers said, well, you're so quick, you have to go in the open where you're with the big boys. So we're the Porsches. We're a $100,000 car. We're up against the $500,000 Porsches, right? And that's who we're competing with, right? And those Porsches are competition prepared cars. So that's what we're up against. And we won't come first. We won't beat them. But if we get a decent 4th, 5th, or 6th, it will get people talking. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to win the hearts and minds. We're not trying to win. It's about putting the electric car presence in front of the electric car, the ICE car fraternity in racing. That's what we're doing. And we can't beat those cars. We can't beat a $500,000 Porsche design.
But it blows away the old-fashioned notion that electric cars are slow because they're like battery-powered golf carts.
Golf carts, yeah.
And they're not. So
this car's not a golf cart. This car's a very high performance competition car. Biggest problem we have is charging, right? We have to charge the car at strategic locations around the competition, which we're changing regulations, we're getting things organized, and we're spending we spend more money on charging than we do on the car to prove that point. So any of you new guys that are buying Tesla Model 3s, just keep your eye on what this car's doing, because it's a magnificent, in all respects, car. It's a beautiful car to drive. It's a beautiful car and a high performing car as well. So
to iterate that 160 class, so that means that those cars could go up to 160 kilometers an hour, whereas John's car was limited to 130 kilometers an hour, and it still beat the cars that could go 160 by 4 minutes. So, which is just, it's just unheard of.
well, this interesting. That was last year. This year, nobody has entered 130, right? Nobody. There is one car in 165, and then because we've moved up to competition, which is 200 kilometers an hour, and we're with the big, we're with the Porsches now. We're with the big boys, right? So everyone has dropped out. So,
But these are highly modified race cars, whereas John's car's got a roll cage, suspension, brakes in it, and that's pretty much it.
driveline standard.
Yeah.
Battery, driveline, everything to do with Tesla. In fact, I've had to get the logbook to do this event, I've had to get Tesla to verify that it's standard battery, cables, motors, charging system, everything is standard. It cost me $340 to get Tesla put up the hoist, check it all out for Motorsport Australia to verify that it's a standard, basically off the shelf, out of the showroom car, other than the seats, harnesses, all those things make it more safe. But the driveline in terms of power and speed is exactly what you'd buy if you bought that car, So
performance-wise, it's just the suspension and the brakes.
Performance in terms of getting better time is brakes and suspension. The acceleration and all that shit is, in fact, we are the heaviest car in the whole field, right? I was just looking at the field of cars. There's like 60 cars competing on Saturday, and we are fucking 207 kilos, because Target West, you have to come in at a minimum weight.
You've got no issues on that.
Sorry?
You've got no issues on coming in on minimum weight, that's for sure.
Well, we have to register a minimum weight to go into competition. But everyone else, we're the heaviest car in the whole field, right? And everyone else is like, we're 2007, and they're, there's 1900, 1600, 1500, all these other lightweight cars with heaps more power, whatever else. So we're the heavy, because we're carrying a gigantic battery, right? So that's why we're the heaviest, right? But can't do anything about it, right? So
I think driver also makes a difference, isn't it?
Sorry?
Being the driver also makes a difference?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Not me. I'm not the driver.
No, you're not.
I've got the professional driver. I'm too scared to drive like that. I'm doing the charging. I'm doing the DC.
John's driven his own car less than 3 or 4 times.
I haven't driven it ever.
Oh, I thought it was. You've never driven it.
I've sat in the seat once or twice.
Yeah. You drove it when you first got it. I remember doing that when we were driving around, waiting for autopilot to calibrate the cameras.
Yeah. Look, honestly, we have a very good driver driving this car. His name's Jürgen Landsmann. He's an accomplished rally driver, and he respects respects the electric. He understands the electric, and he's really doing a good job. You'll agree with that, Harold and Pete and everyone.
Absolutely. And Helen, his wife, is his co-driver. Actually, on that point, I'm trying to convince Jürgen to come down to, on the 2nd of May, the club is holding a electric go-karts event,
Right.
So, and we got a group discount. There it is. Good one. Harold, you read my mind.
I did, Pete. I was waiting for your mind to express itself.
You know, I think we can get Harold. I think we can get Jürgen to come to that because he loves talking. He loves speaking. He's behind the electric thing, you know. So
yeah, it'd be wonderful to have him there. I've sent him an email, so it's got everything there, and yeah. So yeah, even if Helen, you know, but yeah, either Jürgen or the both of them would be fantastic.
2nd of May, is it that one?
Yes, it is.
2nd of May at 3 o'clock.
Right.
I sent an email out.
So I've sent him the email with all the details. He's got it.
Is this the one in Joondalup?
Yes.
That's the one.
All right,
That's
okay.
the one. Yep.
That's near where I am.
Yeah, we've got
excellent.
46 tickets total, and we've so far sold 15 in the last 24 hours. So it's
wow.
going pretty well.
Didn't
So,
you only send out the email, was it yesterday?
I think it was yesterday.
Yeah.
Off the top of my head.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've got 15 tickets allocated already.
Wow,
Is
that's
there,
going
is
quick.
there age restriction? I'm thinking for my kid.
Oh, that's a good question.
What was that? I missed that.
Age restriction. Is it 16?
Oh, okay.
Like upper age.
No. So my kids.
No,
Anyone over 60 can't do it.
yeah, that should be right.
Yeah,
Yes,
so-
exactly.
I think it's 12 and above. My kid just had a party there last year.
But yeah, you can have. I've seen 7,
Yeah.
8-year-olds driving. So
So sorry, like was that?
how's your child, Christian?
He's almost 12. So
Oh, he'll be right. No problem at all.
Yeah, I think should be fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
But always check. Just check.
No. He'll definitely be fine.
I think there was a height. Isn't there a minimum height? I'm just looking on the website.
yeah, normally there's a height issue, I think.
I think it was 140 centimeters.
140, I see it at the bottom. 10 or older, 140, and less than 120 kilos.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. So there you go. So
He'll be right.
and of course, spectators are free. So you only have to book. It's actually, well, I think it's on our website as well. Or is it not? No, no, it's not yet. I sent it as an email, sorry. So unless you've joined in the last couple of days.
The last hour.
Okay, but you got this email, didn't you?
No, I got on Facebook. I saw this.
Okay.
Last thing.
In the last hour.
The good thing is that the group discount is about $20, which pays for the annual Tesla Owners Club membership in one go.
So Christian, are you sure you joined Tokwa?
Yeah, so as I say, I joined it at the start of the meeting because I realized I wasn't a member. So
So I think what Harold's getting at, so you sure he was Tesla Owners Club of Western Australia?
Oh, sorry, no, you are here. No, I just refreshed the screen. And yes, you are. So I will add you and forward that email from yesterday to you. So you've got the link on, actually, I'll post that up on chat because if you want to do it right now, you can.
Don't worry about it.
That's cool.
I can wait for the email.
I'll send you the copy of the email.
That's fine.
Because we've got 4 new members since yesterday. So I just put in everyone except for you, Christian, because you literally just came on. But everyone's got the Ask Us Anything email, but I'll resend the go-kart one. But it's on the 2nd of May, and ticket sales, well, they'll probably, they will sell out, but the cutoff is approximately the 16th of April for bookings because we need to get all the numbers and all the details.
If you've got some time later on, I wouldn't mind getting your guys' advice on a trip to Albany over Easter weekend.
Oh, yes, certainly. So, well, actually, Albany is really simple. All you need to do is charge up at Kojonup, and there's a fast DC charger there. 50 kilowatt fast DC charger, and it's actually free to use. So you mentioned you've got a...
Just want to chip in there. Yeah, that we used it today coming back from Denmark. That Kojin up is awesome. It's so good. Yeah, CCS and Chademo. So yeah, just made it. Just absolutely makes it. So yeah, stop at Kojin up, and there's the Black Cockatoo Cafe right there, and yeah, just couldn't be better really.
And just the cables and connections that come with the vehicle is suitable.
Yep.
Don't need
It's
it.
because it's a DC charger, it will have its own big fat cable.
Alright.
So yeah, but probably if you're doing, you know, driving outside of Perth, probably not a bad idea to have a 5-pin 3-phase adapter, just so you can charge at a lot of the Australian Electric Vehicle Association charge points that are around the place, and a lot of football fields and that have them. So and a type 2 to type 2 is always handy too. Yeah. But like Harold said, you can borrow any of those from the club if you need to, or you can just buy one. The advantage of buying one, if you're going to be doing any sort of charging outside the home, a lot of the shopping centres have free charging, and for those you need the type 2 to type 2 cable.
And just one other thing for that Kojin up charger, just make sure you've got the Charge Fox.
app.
It's yeah, it's free, but you need to plug the car in, and then it will flash on there like as if to put a card against the machine, but you don't. That's the point where you open the Charge Fox app, and then you tell it to start charging your car at that location, and then it works straight away.
Richard, do you know if it'll work for him even without having his credit card details in?
Yep, did for me.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's entirely free, so it's completely
Yeah, I just wasn't sure if it would still work, you know, without you having your credit card registered. So I knew it wouldn't charge you anything, but I was wondering if it insisted on credit card details. But,
yeah, no, it's totally fine. It works completely unfettered, so it's pretty cool. And obviously in Albany, are you staying at a destination charger hotel or anywhere?
I don't know actually.
Okay, that's cool.
My wife's booked the Airbnbs somewhere around. It's near Denmark, so
that's cool because
so just
go and
take along. Oh, sorry, I was just going to say take a long extension cable with you, and that way, if it's an Airbnb, no doubt, you know, there'll be a power point in the house somewhere. Yeah. So just take a long extension cable just in case there isn't one in the garage or anywhere handy, and that way you can charge overnight.
Yeah, that's a good point. Thanks.
Because at the visitor centre in Albany, they've actually got a destination charger, which is basically Tesla's standard charger, which again doesn't need an adapter of any sort.
Right.
So you can just use that.
That will get you about 70K an hour roughly. Yeah.
All right.
And obviously, as we said before, you've got Kojin up fast DC charger. So one thing is download PlugShare.
Yeah, I've got that. Yeah.
And at the moment, if you've got no adapters, just make sure you've got supercharger enabled, Tesla enabled, and CCS enabled.
Okay.
So that's what you can charge with your car now. Oh, that's also ignoring 15 amps and 10 amp sockets, which are sort of at caravan parks, and 10 amps are sort of, you know, basically everywhere. But just looking in the southwest, those are all locations that you can charge at. So obviously on a trip to Albany, it's simply Kojin up. You said Denmark, so that's to the west.
Yep.
There is actually, that's a resort. So
we've just come from Denmark today. What we stayed at the Kurabut Motel in Denmark. They're not listed on there as having any sort of charging, but yeah, they actually, we let them know that we had an electric car and we were on the way, and they put us in a room where we could park the car just literally right next to where our sort of balcony bit was, and just swing the cable over the balcony. It was a bit, you know, it's not ideal, but it worked. So
yeah.
So yeah, Yeah, take a long extension lead.
Can I chip in? Can I chip in?
Yes.
Or am I muted?
No, you're
No,
not.
no, we can hear you, John.
Okay. Look, I did a trip to Albany just recently, right? And I got a new phone, so I had a new different phone, didn't have all the apps and all that on, and I had to re-log into ChargeFox to actually charge, even though it was free. I had to re-log in and blah 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 to get the charger to work at Kojonup, right? So if some of these new guys, whatever, cruising down to Albany, just beware. If you haven't got the ChargeFox app or logged in, whatever, have an account, whatever, even though it's free, you have to have an account and you have to log in and you have to be able to tell it to start, and then it will start. It won't charge you, but you have to have an account. So
Did you have to do that, Richard, at Kojonup?
Well, I had the ChargeFox app already installed. So all I had to do was, it's already linked to my profile.
Oh.
But I haven't had it run for months, but I just opened it straight up, clicked on, it knew my location, went to the charger, and then it says, it gives you the option for whichever one you want to.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, thanks.
Use, and that's it.
Well, I think the main issue is I changed phones. It didn't recognize my phone, whatever. I had to do some re-log in and restart up an account, do whatever. So any newbies that are trying to charge there, it's just not, you got to set up an account. You probably do have to put your credit card details in to get an account. But then that's all good. Then it'll charge, but it won't charge your credit card because it's free at Kojonup, right? So
what are those plug parts what are those plug kinds you had on your map there?
Sorry?
I've got the app open.
Oh, sorry, yes. So the plugs that you've got to have, minimum is supercharger.
Yep.
Tesla.
Yep.
And CCS.
I'd even select type 2.
The only thing is
Kojonup CCS2 or Chatamo, that's it.
Yes, yeah. So CCS, because the Teslas don't have Chatamo. None of the Model 3s do Chatamo, but CCS, and then that shows all the charges that are available. Now, if I click on type 2, with the exception of the orange pins that you can see, basically all the type 2 ones require, what about, except for the Porsche one, sorry. Porsche, there are a couple of Porsche chargers which have a tether, but the type 2s, you'll need a type 2 cable, which again, as we said before, you can borrow from the club for free. But
that's not true for all of them, because a lot of them are Tesla HWPCs.
Yes, but they fall under the Tesla banner.
Tesla.
Yeah.
Hey guys, these are newbies. We don't want to confuse them.
No, we're not confusing anyone, John. This is just
these guys have got Model 3s with CCS2 adapters, right? So let's just show CCS2 on the map.
Yeah, well, you can't. PlugShare only shows CCS. So
CCS, nobody's got Chatamo. That's finished, right?
Yeah, that's not. Yeah. So what you can see here is you see supercharger, Tesla, and CCS. So all of these pins, the orange means it's fast DC, so they're the fast chargers, and then the green pins are all the AC slower chargers. So
to give you an idea, most of those orange or brown icons, markers, means that for the standard range plus, like yours, Christian, it means you shouldn't need to be there for longer than an hour. So they'll charge at roughly about 40 kilowatts an hour, and your battery is about, what's the latest update, Harold? Is it 52 kilowatt hours?
Something like that, yeah.
So yeah, so even if you got there with, you know, nothing left, then yeah, you shouldn't be there too much longer than an hour.
Great.
Versus, you know, the high-powered wall connectors, so they're only about 70 kilometres an hour, like I said, so they're only 11 kilowatts an hour rather than 40 or 50, so they're, you know, a quarter or a fifth the pace of the DC chargers.
Well, the DCs, the one in Geraldton, the Tocker one, that was charging Model 3s at 300 kilometres an hour. So in half an hour, you've got 150 Ks to go further down the road. So, you know, much faster.
And another useful tip is if you're actually in a hurry, so if you need to get somewhere in a hurry, it's actually quicker if you have to charge. If you have to stop to charge, it's actually quicker to go slower and charge for less time than it is to gun it, because then you'll end up having to spend longer at the charger, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So to go quicker, you need to go slower.
That applies at all the green pins, the AC chargers.
Yes, sorry, yes.
So when it's a fast DC, you can just do the speed limit, doesn't matter. But on the slower ones, yeah, like Pete said, it's actually quicker to drive slower. You spend more time on the road, but less time by the side of the road waiting to charge or charging. But
I find though, even knowing that, and I'm traveling on 3-phase, I still drive at 100 and 110 because yeah, like, you know, with road trains and yeah, just general traffic moving, I would rather actually stop and charge for longer and go at the speed limit. So.
And the new cars are awesome. You know, the long range and even standard range plus threes have got tons of range. It's awesome. One little thing for those who have got an SR Plus, in fact, all of your Model 3s, congratulations, they're all coming from Shanghai, which is fantastic. It'll be really interesting to see how well all the fit and finish is, and we believe it to be excellent. If you've got the SR Plus, one great thing is you can charge it to 100% all day, every day. So you can just set the slider all the way to the right for charging, which.
But that only applies to the new made in China,
precisely.
Shanghai.
So, yep.
Yeah.
So the ones arriving. Yep. So the ones arriving this month are all from China.
Yeah.
There are I don't think there are any performance there are no performance Model 3s coming. They're all either SR Plus or long range. So with the SR Pluses, you can just dial it up to 100%. But on the long range Model 3s, they have more traditional battery chemistry, and it's healthiest to charge them to between 80 and 90%. And you'll actually find if you consistently charge them to 100%, you'll get like a little warning notification that says doing this excessively can increase degradation.
You
and
get
actually
that
asks you, do you want to lower the charge rate?
Yeah, you get that if you charge it to 95%, because I get that on mine. If I'm going, I usually charge mine to 90%. But if I take it to 95, by the second time I'm charging it to 95, having not used very much, it says, would you like to reduce the charge rate, your state of charge?
Yeah. But by all means, if you want to do a longer trip and you want to save a bit of time, it's entirely healthy and appropriate just to dial it up to 100, but try and use, once it's charged up, then start your trip. Or should I say, if you're going to boost it up to 100%, only do that, say, in an hour before you are due to leave, so that you start using that highest percentage fairly quickly. And once it gets below 90%, it doesn't matter. You can just park the car for weeks if you wanted to. So that's totally cool.
And although it's very obvious, but it might still take you by surprise, once you charge to 100%, you won't have any regenerative braking, because obviously there's no more battery to store all that energy. So it usually takes 10 minutes or so of driving, depending on the temperature, etc. for the battery level, the state of charge to drop enough for you to be able, for the battery to be able to accept the charge from regenerative braking. So usually 98, 97%, and you can start putting power back in again.
Yeah, with all the LFP batteries, charge it to 100 doesn't really matter. But with all the other chemistries, if you want to go to 100 for a long journey, which is what I've done a couple of times, I usually charge it to 95% overnight. And then when I've got up in the morning and just about ready to leave, I'll go and stick the charger back on so that it trickles up to the 100% and then drive it straight away. Don't leave it parked for hours with 100% in the battery.
But even if you did, it's no big deal. It's only if you just do that repeatedly, you know, if you do that fairly regularly, that you'll be able to notice you know, faster degradation on the battery.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Now, as a reminder too, we've actually got a YouTube channel, and we've got some pro tips on it. So just search for Tokwa and you'll find us on YouTube. And we've got, there is a charging one, which is road trip, goes for 51 seconds. And it basically describes a little bit like what Nigel said, except in this one, we just recommended 90%. And then in the morning, you then just charge up to the last 10. And that takes less than an hour, or actually more like half an hour to go from 90% to pretty close to 100%. But yeah, just for future reference, we've got a few other pro tips on how to open the charge port door, how to navigate. So for instance, one thing you'll do is select your home location for navigation. And if you want, you can select a work location. So say if you're at home and you want to navigate to work, rather than having to select work or enter in the address or even click on the work button, you just get there's a navigate button and you just swipe it. Is it down, Pete?
Both. So it works both ways.
Right?
Yeah, whether you swipe down or to the right, works both ways.
So yeah, so a lot of these pro tips are on our YouTube channel, as well as all of these Ask Us Anything sessions, which, you know, we've got hundreds of hours of content. So if ever you suffer from insomnia, just put one of those Ask Us Anything sessions on, and you'll have 3 hours of being lulled off to a gentle sleep, and probably profound one at that. But we also do have pro tip videos and other things, so it's all good.
Harold, and everyone, thanks very much. I need to duck off, but this has been super helpful.
No worries, Christian, welcome. And come back anytime you like.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Cheers, take care.
Same with me, I need to go off as well. Thank you so much, everybody, and nice meeting you.
Me too.
Nice to meet you.
I've enjoyed this. Thanks very much.
Bye-bye.
I'll have a question.
Yes.
When you pick up your car, what's the state of charge?
Well,
it will vary.
It'll hopefully be well above 50%. Tesla's working hard to make that so, but there are a lot of cars being delivered from next week until the end of the month.
There are chargers at the actual Osborne Park showroom. There's a couple outside and two in the showroom. Harold, you know this off by heart. There's 2 in the showroom.
There's 2 inside, and there are.
So not the showroom, the delivery showroom, the one near Main Street.
And I think there are 3 outside, and I think there are actually 3 in the workshop. But there are basically there's one in particular that's very easy to get to. And in fact, there's another 2 really that are easy to get to. But Tesla are aiming to have the cars appropriately charged, which is hopefully well beyond 50%.
Okay.
Unfortunately, the cars have to be shipped in a lower state of charge for shipping safety reasons. It's got to do with the lithium-ion batteries, and universally, whenever they're on ships or any sort of transport, they have to be in a somewhat depleted state. But Tesla will do their best to charge them up. Look, if you're living in Perth, it's no issue. The first thing you can do when you get home, if you like, is just plug your car into the 10 amp. So what you'll get is a what they call a UMC, a universal mobile connector, and it has a 15 amp and a 10 amp socket. So just whip out the 10 amp socket, plug it in somewhere at home. That will charge your car at about 12 kilometers per hour, which doesn't sound like a lot, but for 10 hours overnight, there's 120 Ks, you know, and in 24 hours, there's 240 Ks. One tip, although it's becoming quite popular now, there is a free fast DC charger at UWA. So I'll just bring that up.
I was going to say at RAC as well, but RAC I think is you have to pay for that one, but it's part of the electric highway.
It's free. It's free for the time being, I think. Is it still free?
There's another.
No, we don't.
There's another free one at Ross Hardware in Guildford.
Yes.
I use that. That's fantastic for coming to Kalgoorlie, because it's close to the last DC charger before you leave Perth coming east.
Yes, Ross's discount.
Yeah, I saw that.
Center. Yeah, thanks, Kylie. That's a good one. And that's a privately owned one, and that's free.
And so, the same gentleman that very kindly put that one in out of his own money and allows the public to use it for free has also put in a 100 kilowatt charger at Forestdale, which was CD dot scrap metals. And that was, at the time, that was the fastest charger in Perth because it was before the RAC one.
Actually, now it is the fastest because the RAC one has been derated to 50 kilowatts.
Oh.
Time being, unfortunately.
What's happened?
I think they got power issues.
Right.
And that's all I'm going to say. It sounds like they haven't properly planned it out, or maybe there was an issue supplying power. But yeah, so you got the Guildford one, free. Forest Field, free, and UWA. That's also free, but the UWA one is very busy. Just very convenient. It also has a half-hour charging limit, so you can only stay for half an hour. Now, it's obviously perfectly okay if you're there charging and you're with the car and there are no other EVs arriving, you can sort of stay a bit later if you wish. But as soon as someone arrives, you've got to go, unless you've still got, more time for your half-hour limit. But that charge is getting pretty popular, as are EVs.
And also, just to hammer home the point about a lot of these chargers that are put in. So John put in a charger, Harold himself put the one into Geraldton, and Chris Dodd put the 2 chargers in for free for the public to use. And even a lot of the businesses that put in their own chargers, they'll never even hope to get it. Even the ones that are charging 50 cents a kilowatt hour, they'll never get their money back for that. So they're really doing it, with the view of you spending a little bit of money in the shop. But even if they were to make a $5 clean profit out of every EV driver, especially some of the remote ones, they still probably wouldn't have, a payback period of anywhere near under 50 years, assuming the charger would last that long. So what I'm trying to say is, obviously, when you charge at some of these remote locations, just make it a point to go in, offer to pay if it's for free, and obviously pay if it's if you need to pay for it, and offer to buy something and spend a few bucks at their business, and maybe express your thanks for putting the charger in.
Yeah, definitely.
And talking of chargers, Mike's just asked a question.
Thanks, Nigel. I was just about to get to that. So, Mike, you say you've only got 16 amps from your charger. Now, is that 16 amps three-phase? You're on.
Yeah, sorry, I was on mute. Yeah, so I've got three-phase power. The meter box, from my reading of the meter box and the decoding what all the codes mean on the Western Power website, is that it's got 100 amp supply.
Yep.
And I had one of the authorized electricians from Tesla come out today and install my wall charger. But then when they were done, they said, "Oh no, it's only 16 amp," and I was a bit taken aback because I would have expected it to be, what is it, 32 amp.
Okay, so
said, "Oh no, you need to get a higher rated mains connection for that."
Yeah, so there's a couple of things. Firstly, the good news is, even though it's been dialed down to 16 amps, that's actually the maximum your car can accept in any case. So you're not actually losing anything. So that's the most important point. So that 16 amps three-phase will get you 11 kilowatts, which is what your car can accept. So that's the first point. But to go a bit further, it's quite funny, because if you look at most houses have boundary fuses that are between 80 and 100 amps on the boundary fuses. So notionally, the current carrying capacity of your connection to your house is 80 or 100 amps. However, technically, Western Power, and this is what they're doing now, and they're almost trying to retrospectively do this if you do certain interesting installations. They are trying to claim, or they are claiming, that standard domestic houses have an allocation of 32 amps three-phase, or 32 amps per phase in the house. Which is why when you say install something like a 50 kilowatt fast DC charger, which is roughly 80 amps per phase, you could virtually get that from a standard house. But what they say is, no, the standard meter connection is 32 amps three-phase, or 32 amps per phase, and to provide an additional 50 amps per phase, that'll cost you an extra dozen $1,000 in capacity usage charges and such things. So even though most houses, if you go into the meter box, you have a look at the boundary fuses, it does say 80 or 100 amps. It's not notionally what Western Power have actually allocated to the house on average. But you certainly can, at a pinch, draw the 80 amps per phase from that connection, and it will work perfectly well. But the electrician is obliged to count up all of the total currents capacity in your house, and the theory has to be that they're all on at once, because even though they might not ever be on at once, they could be, and have to derate. Otherwise, they've got to apply for a higher power connection. But again,
because it's just a bit weird, because I've got fuses there for my reverse cycle air conditioner and my pool pump that are both rated at 80 amp.
No, they won't be. Well, they shouldn't. Well,
okay.
Our house is weird.
Okay.
The thing is,
well, on the fuse, it's got
the circuit breakers in your box, in your meter box. They are actually intended to protect the cabling that connects from that circuit breaker to the load. They're not there to protect the load from an overcurrent or anything like that. They are simply there to stop the cable between the meter box and the load from melting.
Yeah.
So
I just thought it was a bit weird that they both essentially, if they both said 80 amps, that I would have looked at it and I thought, well, it's theoretically possible then that they're probably going to be drawing 80 amps.
No,
Otherwise, I
no,
probably wouldn't have
no.
put in a fuse that's related to that. But
no, but that's what I mean. The fuse is not there to protect the load. The fuse is there to protect the wiring connected to the load that connects to the load. But what electricians have to do is actually do an accounting of all of the potential loads in the house and make sure that that can't overwhelm or overload the connection to the house, which is why the electrician has done that at your house and has said, well, for this new appliance, he has to derate it to 16 amps, 3-phase. But like I said, even if he had set the rotary switch internal to the wall charger, even if he had set that to 32 amps, your car gets no extra energy because it can only draw 16 amps 3-phase. So you've actually lost nothing. And if anything, it's just told you a little bit of information that is irrelevant to your situation.
Well, there is one situation where, you know, if it was set to 32 amps, where it would be helpful, and that's if you had an old Model S charging there. So some of those old Model S's had dual 11 kilowatt chargers, so they could charge to 22 kilowatts. So, you know, that's the only, and that's assuming that you had the current, the Gen 2 high-powered wall connector, because the Gen 3 high-powered wall connector, which hasn't come out in Australia yet, that will be, they will only be able to supply 11 kilowatts. So, but yeah, so there is that one outside case, you know, where you might be able to use it. But yeah, like Harold said, because you've got 3 phases, so 240 volts, multiply that by 16, you get about, 3.8 or something, multiply that by 3 and should get you to about 11.6, which is pretty much as, you know, as fast as your
I went and looked it up, and it said it's going to be operating at the maximum speed for my Tesla anyway. But I just thought it was a little bit weird, and I was just a little confused by it.
May I ask, Mike, what you paid for the install?
Well, the quoted price was, I think, $1,000. And
was that a standard connection, or did they have to do anything?
That was a 3-phase connection. The single phase was cheaper, and I had the cable runs were quite long because it had to go up. I think probably about 25 feet and then over and then come down, and they had to get up and do all sorts of stuffing around on the roof. So yeah.
People on drugs in the 80s did all the cabling in our house, so nothing is simple.
Yeah. So I gave them photos. I said, you know, we can get photos of this, and so I basically went and took photos of everything, and gave them the map and gave them all heads up, and they came back and said, yeah, that'll be done for like $1,000. So.
Just a note for anyone else that hasn't yet installed a charger, you can basically get any competent electrician to do it. So it's not a technical device, it's just an appliance.
Yes.
So
that said, if you do have an electrician that's done one before, it's obviously helpful. But yeah, but I think what Harold's trying to get at is that the electrician shouldn't charge, you know, I mean, for a standard connection, so you obviously had, you know, longer cable runs, but for a standard connection with fairly, you know, normal cable runs, shouldn't be paying more than about $500-600. Yeah. And there are guys that will do it for $350, but $450-500 for a, you know, semi-experienced guy. There are guys that specialize in installing EFCEs, so electric vehicle service equipment, and they'll charge a little bit more. But
yeah. Mine cost me $650. That was about a year or more ago. But I had to put a 32 amp RCD, run 30 meters of 32 amp capable cable across the ceiling and down the wall and the wall charger. And he charged me $650, and it was the first one he'd ever done. And then I think he went and did Joe and Seb's after that.
That's single phase, Nigel.
Yeah, single. Yeah.
My one was, I can't remember, I think it was about a little over 500, but I had fairly long cable runs as well. I had a full, there's no DIN rail space in the switchboard, so I had to have another cabinet and a few other complications, and it was a 3-phase run. So,
but did you get an RCD and an MCB?
Yes, both in one.
Oh, RCBO.
Yeah, RCBO. Yes.
Yeah. Cool. So for those,
I lucked out. I married an electrician.
You got it all. Awesome. Because you can get a.
I actually got my.
So I was just going to say, you can get a Hager.
I got my high.
Go on, Kylie. Sorry, go on.
That's all right. I got my high-powered wall charger put in at my work. I own the place, running off our 20-kilowatt solar panels.
Nice. That's the way to go.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, cool.
Fantastic. With the 3-phase installs, one of the big costs is the actual RCD, the residual current device, and the circuit breaker, if you do it separately, and that takes up 7 positions in your meter board, unless you pay a bit extra and get a combination RCD and circuit breaker all built together, and that's called an RCBO, which just means residual current breaker with overload. So it's got the overload as well, but they cost a couple of $100 wholesale just for that. Just for that item.
Kruger one.
Hager. There's a Hager one.
Hager, that's it. Yeah. Went and looked. That's like $395.
But but you do need to have an RCD and a circuit breaker. It's actually illegal to install these things without it. So I dare say I've seen 1 or 2 installs that didn't have an RCD, and that's somewhat naughty, just to put it mildly. One thing you can do, if cost is an issue, even if you have a 3-phase house, you can still power your charger with single phase, and you can do it with 32 amps single phase, which means you'll get about 3/4 of the power that you would have gotten if you were using 3-phase, and it'll probably cost you, I don't know, 30% less, if not a bit cheaper, to install single phase. As much as it pains me to say that, because obviously 3-phase is better, but the install, it can be a lot cheaper. So that could be something. If you want to get a quote, you say how much for 3-phase and how much for single phase, and you can then balance cost and benefit depending on your situation. Because some people have got very limited space in their meter box. Like Pete, they'd have to then install a sub-meter board next door, and that can probably cost you, I don't know, an extra $100, $150, a couple of $100, depending.
Yeah, I think the subboard alone was about $120 or something. So.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, Kylie, well done on picking the right dude to marry, to have the inside running. That's good work.
Maybe he can do the other Model 3 in Cal as well.
No, because how's this? The other Model 3's been bought by an electrician.
Oh, too.
Yeah. So he's, in fact, he said to me, hey, I've got a spare wall charger that he's put a 3-phase on, that he said, do you want to borrow that on your way back, for your trip back to Kalgoorlie? And I said, no, Rob's done that. I just didn't want to drag it with me. That's all. He owns one of the other electrical companies in town. So it's pretty funny.
Cool.
So, but the only thing that worries me a little bit is we sometimes have power outages in Kalgoorlie. It's one of our unfortunate problems every couple of months. And the other day we had one on the day that I had to drive to Esperance. So I thought, shit, if I had my Model 3 and I hadn't charged it up to 100% before the power went out, not sure how I'm going to get to Kalgoorlie. So get to Esperance. So it's going to be one of my dramas in Kalgoorlie, is what to do when the power goes out. We've lost the power for 5 days before.
You can get yourself a battery, obviously, for backup. Even the Powerwall is in the US.
So I looked at the Tesla Powerwall because I spoke to my husband after this power outage, and it's only a 13 kilowatt battery.
13.5 usable, yes.
That's just, so that's not, I mean, we have to run our practice on a generator when the power goes out because we have immunization fridges. I'm a doctor. And he was considering getting a Tesla Powerwall instead. And I'm like, that'll run our practice for like 6 hours and then we'll be stuffed again. We'll still have to run off the generator. So, I thought of that, but it won't charge the car anyway.
You can put up to 10 Powerwalls in. So,
yeah,
13.5 kilowatt.
100
so you can have 135 kilowatt hours. Yeah. You probably run out of cash before you run out of power. But yeah.
We got quoted 19 grand for one.
That's a lot. That's so even in Cal, that's a lot.
Pete can do it for less.
Yeah, you shouldn't. If in Kalgoorlie, I'd say 16 grand max. 16
You've got solar, haven't you? Didn't you say you've got 20 kilowatts of solar?
Yeah, that's why we were looking at getting it because our meter doesn't move during the day at all. So on the weekend, all that power is just feeding back onto the grid. We're not using it at all.
But what I mean is, if you did get a power cut during the day, your solar and your battery will work off grid if you've got enough solar during a power cut.
Yeah. Okay. I see what you mean. Yeah. During the day. Yeah. Because the solar would still be producing enough power as well.
Yeah. You'll essentially be working as an off-grid setup.
Yeah. Whereas at the moment, my understanding is that we can't use solar without a battery when the power goes out, which is very annoying.
It is, and I think a lot of people, don't realise that.
Yeah, maybe we need to look at the battery option again.
Yeah, because we've got one here and having a little 8-month-old as well. I think we've had 5 or 6 power cuts in Frio, and never even noticed until I looked in the app and then seen, when those times have happened. But even though you're going to use a lot of power, and 13.5 kilowatt hours isn't a lot of storage, but if it is during the day, you'd probably be able to run, pretty much all of your needs, as long as it's not a combination of a storm and a grid outage.
So that's one of the unique features of the Powerwall, is that it flicks into off-grid mode pretty much seamlessly. You won't even get the lights flickering, whereas most other batteries, will be anywhere from 10, 20, 30 seconds up to a minute for the switchover.
So one alternative is to have 1 or 2 Powerwalls as your, convenience, where, if the power goes off for 1 or 2 hours or 3 or 4 hours, you'll have uninterrupted supply. And if it's something more, well, not disastrous, but, a longer term thing, then it's not so inconvenient to start up a generator, given that, you won't have to wake up in the middle of the night worrying about losing power, because you'll ride.
So at the moment,
until the morning.
I get alarms on my phone, and we've got 20 minutes to get the generator up and running before our immunization fridge starts causing problems.
Yes.
And it's a pain in the butt.
Yeah. So something like either a Tesla Powerwall or any number of, BYD have batteries, LG Chem, there's quite a few batteries that work with solar inverters. Although you have to, mind you, like Pete said, the Powerwall is great because it acts almost like a UPS. So it's basically, it'll switch over very quickly. Some of the other systems, such as BYD, with say like the Fronius inverters, they will have a contactor which will then switch over, but that only takes about a minute or so to start back up again, because the inverter has to basically restart. But some of those systems, and they're quite reasonably priced, they will ride through the nighttime, so then you don't have to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning or whatever it is, provided you've got enough storage. And obviously you'd only put on the vaccine freezers or fridges and nothing else. You don't.
Yeah, we currently run our server, and our fridges. That's all we run on the generator system. So that's all we'd have to run: 2 vaccine fridges and a server. So,
Don't
but it meant
forget
in the
though-
last storm we actually ran right through.
Don't forget though, it depends on when the power outage happens. So with the power wall, what you can do is you can reserve a certain amount of capacity for an outage. So, you know, you can say, okay, it's a 13.5 kilowatt hour capacity. I'll just use 10 kilowatt hours for my solar, and I'll keep 3.5 kilowatt hours in reserve for a backup as a worst case scenario. And that way the battery won't discharge below 3.5 kilowatt hours for storage.
I think I've got to go and deliver a baby. Bye. Thanks very much, guys.
See you, Harvey.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
G'day, Harold.
Lester, I was just going to welcome you. Sorry, I haven't done so before.
That's all right. That's all right.
We've spoken on the phone several times, and yes, welcome to the show.
Thanks. I've seen a few on YouTube where you said a very profound thing, that you don't know what you don't know because you don't know it. So you don't know what questions to ask. So what I wanted to ask you tonight, as I said this afternoon, I want to go up to Corrigan, and I think it was at Brookton, there's a charger.
Yes.
And in Corrigan, it says that there's a 3-phase charger.
Yes.
That's
So
I'll
just bring up the map, and we've got to go to type 2 and 3-phase on the filter, and Brookton. It's a Brookton Roadhouse, and that has a charger. We can't see it's on the wrong side, but that's a type 2. So you need a type 2 cable, which you can borrow from the club for free.
And is that very fast?
No,
not really. No.
So it'll charge your car. So you've got a Model S. It'll
I've
charge
got
your
the latest Model S. I've got it a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, it'll charge your car at 50 kilometers per hour.
Oh, okay.
Now you're going to Corrigan.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep. So at the Corrigan Hotel, there is a 3-phase outlet. That's not a very good photo because it doesn't show where it is. Oh, nor does that. But I guess it's just here.
Yeah, right.
Dock. So for that, you can also borrow an adapter off us or a charger unit. You're going fairly soon, aren't you, Lester?
I'm going on Sunday. I was hoping to pick up whatever I needed off you on
Saturday.
Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, cool. Yes, you can. I'll work something out. I'll work something out in the next couple of days. But yes, you'll be able to borrow the type 2 cable for Brookton and 3-phase for Corrigan.
And the chances are I probably won't need it, but it was like I bought a spare tire wheel off Tesla. I had to sell the bottom 40 acres to pay for it.
Yes.
But it was like, as I said, it's like an insurance policy. I'm from the bush originally. It just doesn't seem right driving around without a spare. It just doesn't, and especially when I'm in the bush, you know.
Yes.
And I'm hoping I'll never use it, but it was just like a spare, like an insurance policy. And again, with this,
I got myself one as well recently. We're going to Kelberry in a few weeks, and I got myself one as well. So I think it's the way to go.
Yeah, yeah. So as I say, Corrigan's only from where I am in Mundijong.
It's 216 k's from the city.
Yeah, so it's about 230 from where I am, or 225. So it's about 450 or 229 Ks, yeah, 230 Ks. So it's about 460 Ks return trip. Now, I imagine with the Tesla, with the S, if I've got that fully charged, I should cream it in.
You'll cream it in. Now, are you staying overnight at Corrigan?
No.
Oh, so it's just a day trip.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
In the morning and come back in the afternoon because I've got commitments from work and stuff, you know.
Yeah, cool. So you'll still cream it in because it's only 400 Ks. Well, let's call it 450 Ks on a car that's got a notional range of
600 or something.
600, but even if you derate that to 500, you'll still have plenty left over.
So do you think it's worth it picking it up or?
Oh no, what's definitely worth it is get the Type 2 cable.
Right.
Well, actually, no, you might as well, for your first trip, you know, well, the thing is, do you want to stay at the Corrigan Motel or are you going to drive around or?
No, I've got to go up to a funeral and I'm got to go up there for the funeral and put an appearance and so forth and such. And then probably 3 or 4 hours later, I'm hoping to come back to Perth or to Mundajon, but it'll be late-ish on a Sunday afternoon, 4 or 5 o'clock.
So the question is the funeral close to the Corrigan Hotel? Like, is it convenient for you to leave to park the car at the Corrigan Hotel?
Not really, no. But they're going back to the hotel for 2 or 3 hours, so I can go back there and I can charge that up while I'm.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's fine. In that case, for a couple of hours, you'll get 100 Ks range.
Oh, look, that's range. Okay then. All right.
Which is half of your return trip. So, look, since it's your first trip, we'll lend you it, the adapter, and you know it'll all be good.
Yeah, and as I say, I'll probably get there, but you know, I've only just got this car, and I'm still getting used to what it can do and what it can't do.
Which version of the Model S is it?
It's the well, herein lies a bit of a story. I actually ordered a long range one from America for in December for delivery in March this year. And then in January, I had a phone call from some guy over east from Tesla, said, oh, good news and bad news. Oh, here we go. And the good news was that they're going to upgrade the model and I'll be the first one in Australia to get it. I said, okay. The bad news was it's going to take me 18 months to get it. Or 12 or 18, a long time anyway, much longer than what I had anticipated. And I thought, well.
And slightly more expensive?
Sorry?
And slightly more expensive too?
Yeah, about another 20 grand or so, yeah.
Yeah.
25 grand. Anyway, so I was speaking to Harry down in Aussie Park. He said, look, there's 2 over east. They're both performance models. There's a white one and a grey one, or midnight silver they call it, which was the colour I wanted and had the big turbo wheels on that I wanted. Everything was fine except it had white upholstery, which I was a bit, I didn't really want that. But he said, look, if you don't get this now, it'll be gone tomorrow. And so I did, I bought it. And then the next day, the other one was gone. So in answer to the question, it's one of the performance ones with the all the ludicrous stuff on dual motor.
Awesome. Awesome.
It's a very nice motor car, you know, and I'll probably keep it till I die. Well, I hope I do anyway. But
well, let's hope you keep it for a long time then.
Well, I had the last car for 16 years, and I only did about 140,000. It was a XR6 6-speed manual Falcon, and beautiful car. But I saw a Tesla outside the post office one day and saw it, and that's it. A couple of years ago, I had to have one.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Look, the point is, it's got so much range. You're just it's gonna be easy peasy.
And as I say, I'll call out your place on Saturday anyway.
Yep.
If I may.
Yes.
And pick up what I need to pick up, and I can drop that back when I get back.
Yeah. No worries.
And all good.
Cool. Just a quickie. Welcome, Charlene.
Hello.
So you've got a Model 3
not yet.
Coming?
I have.
Awesome.
I've got my
Details, it's SR Plus, long range?
It is a performance model. That's all I know. Yeah.
Excellent.
And you're getting it, when you're getting it, did you say?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, Harry gave me a call and said there's going to be a delay. He said it may be June.
Yeah.
Which I'm taking to mean probably a lot longer than that. So I don't know. I'm just going to hang in there. I think I might just buy a cheaper electric car and sell the one I've got, because I've got a BM X5 and, you know, the prices are going for secondhand SUVs at the moment. They're pretty high. So I thought I might just offload that now, get a cheaper car while I wait for my Tesla, and just get myself all ready to go at home, beef up the solar panels and get some batteries. Yeah, all of that.
Definitely the way to go.
Yeah. I actually just had someone here today to discuss it with me. We're just talking about, I think, is it called the Zappo? The
Zappy charger.
Zappy charger.
Yeah.
So that would basically plug the car straight into the battery rather than taking off the grid, which I think sounds like a really great idea.
One of the advantages, Richard, you've got a Zappy, haven't you?
No, I went with the Solar Edge.
Oh, you got Solar Edge.
EV charger. So it's kind of like you get a Zappy integrated with your solar inverter, but it's kind of all singing, all dancing, brand new. And I think because it's so new, it's got some incompatibility issues with the Powerwall, which Solar are just still kind of working through. It's kind of working well enough for me. So if you want a simple life, just get a separate solar inverter and a Zappy charger. If you want to get into the details of charging curves and nonsense, do what I did. But yeah, I think Pete's recommendation of a Zappy is probably pretty good. But I mean, I do like the Solar Edge combination inverter charger. So if you want to know more about that, just message me directly and I'll happy to tell you all the details.
Okay, thank you. I've got a little bit of time, but I just thought I'd sort of start doing my due diligence and working out what's going to be the best scenario for charging. Yep. I've also got a property down south. I want to put a charger in, and just kind of go solar all the way and just have some.
Excellent.
Yeah, have some alternatives there. But kind of it's a whole lifestyle thing, isn't it?
It is, and it's funny because a lot of people are sort of comfortable with paying $100,000 to then get free charging or free fuel, whereas obviously you could spend half that much and buy as much petrol as you liked. But it sort of is good fun to minimize your charging costs or your driving costs, basically your fuel costs. Never get between a Tesla owner and free charging, because we're all pretty keen to.
I just love the principle of charging for free off your own solar.
Oh yes,
It's I mean, for efficiency as well as cost. That was part of the reason I went with the combined inverter charger, because it's literally coming directly off the panels into the inverter and then straight into the car. It's not going through a switchboard or anything. So, for what it's worth.
The guy I was talking to today also said, I'm not like 100% all around the theory and of it all, but he said you can actually use your Tesla battery to kind of power your home as such. Like if you've got excess power in your car and you need the power in the house, you can kind of
you can't do that. You can't do that as yet. It's called vehicle to grid. Yeah. So So
the bad news is that your car you're getting can't do that.
Oh.
So just put that behind you. It doesn't happen.
It's all right. It sounded like a little bit of a plus, but I'm actually going to get 80.
It's coming, but not yet.
But it wouldn't make economic sense in some ways either, because why be using up a battery that's in a $110,000 car for everyday use when you could get a Tesla Powerwall, which is a stationary battery, which will cost you about $14,000–15,000, and it can do the same thing. And that's actually been designed to be used with the house.
Yeah, well, we will be getting battery as well anyway.
The battery chemistry is different as well. The car batteries are generally designed to go between 90% and 20% state of charge, whereas the house batteries are designed to go between 100% and 0. Yeah, and they're very different things. And I echo what Pete's saying as well. I thought exactly the same before, but having a battery that's actually part of the house, yeah, is so much better than using the car to then power the house and then realize, oh, hang on, I've got to go and do a trip and now my car's flat.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd actually said to this guy, look, I'd rather get the maximum battery that we can, the batteries we can, and store as much as we can and get as many panels as I possibly can. I'd rather just do that. And he seems to think that we should be able to survive on 90% solar energy from then on in. And over the course of a year, we'd be lucky if we had to go 10% off the grid, which to me would be absolutely fantastic.
To me, that sounds quite ambitious. How big is the solar system that you're putting in?
He said 18 panels, but I can't remember how many kilowatt.
So probably a 6.5 on 5, so 6.5 kilowatts on a 5 kilowatt inverter, no doubt. And how much are your bills?
How much, sorry?
How much do you spend on your electricity bills at the moment?
Well, so we've got about 6 panels up there now, and we've got a pretty big house with pool, pump and all of that going. So I've just swapped around to trying to use appliances during the day a bit more, and the bill's coming in at around $450.
Yeah, so you won't be at 90%, I can assure you. Yeah, so he's overselling it a little bit. Yeah.
Well, who knows? Who knows? We haven't seen the details.
Yeah. I don't know if anyone's aware of it, but we are actually going with a company called Pleco Energy. I don't know if you've heard of them. They're like a kind of community grid system, and it's sort of started down south in the Margaret River, Dunsborough area, and they're trying to kind of bring it up to Perth. So the whole scenario is basically they pay for all your panels and all your batteries, and you pay them a weekly price between $32 and $45 a week. Basically, you end up buying back and paying off the panels and batteries over a 10-year period, and after that.
So,
wow, okay.
So just a bit of advice on that. So it's financial engineering. That's all it is. So, I can give you a system that will, I can pay you $1,000 for you to put a system in, and then, charge you half the rates that you pay to Synergy, but, it might have to be a 25-year contract or whatever. You can just do, there's so many levers that you can push and pull. At the end of the day, what you want to know is how much are you actually going to be paying for that system?
Yeah.
And, the more complex you make it and the more engineering you apply, the more opaque that is. And none of those contracts ever tell you, what your actual total cost is for a system. So you may find, and I've never heard of this company, so it's nothing to do with this company at all. Like I said, I don't know them, but generally speaking, you may find that, at $45 a week or whatever that amount is, you might end up paying $12,000 for a $7,000 system.
Yeah.
Over the term of the contract or whatever it may be. So you just need, this is sort of my expertise. I've been in solar for 10 years and I used to be a stockbroker for 10 years prior to that. So sort of I understand the financial, I don't have a technical background, but I understand solar and I understand the financial side. yeah, and I sold quite a few commercial, what I call power purchase agreements, which is exactly the same thing, where you know, the business pays 7 cents or 8 or 9 cents per kilowatt hour for the electricity, and doesn't pay anything for the solar system. So yeah, so you can. There's so many levers. There's the term. There's there's a kilowatt hour rate. There's a buyback schedule. There's a lot of parts to it. But at the end of the day, what you want to do is work out whether you're not paying $20,000 for a $10,000 system.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I know what you're saying. Definitely have to do your sums and make sure it's
because essentially all it is that is the same as buying the solar system and getting a loan for it, if you really boil it down, because all they're doing is they're obviously putting the system in and giving you the labor and the components now, and you're not paying for it up front. So they're effectively giving you a loan, which you then have to pay off, and you're paying, you know, the weekly sum to pay it off. So what you want to do, you know, you just don't want to be paying a 7 or a 10 or a 15% interest rate on that loan.
Yeah.
So, you know, if it's 3, 4, 5%, 6%, you know, that's probably fine. But yeah, you just want to make sure you're not paying 10 or 12%.
Well, the way they package it or the way they present it, but you basically, all you pay is a weekly fee for over.
Yeah. So yeah,
you sign up and pay this for 10 years.
So yeah, there's a reason why they won't tell you what the effective interest rate is. They never do. So, but yeah, it's fairly easy to work out. All you need to do is just get a spreadsheet or a financial calculator, or just Google it on the internet, and you can work out what the effective interest rate is that you're paying.
So you just get your weekly rental, your weekly fee, and multiply that by the number of weeks. Or is that forever? Is it go? No, it must end.
It's 10 years.
10 years. So you just get, well, how much did you say it was a week? $45?
Well, for what he's looking at putting together into a quote for me, it was $45 a week.
45. So all you got to do is 45 times 52 is
$23,400.
$23,400 for that system.
So the way I saw it is, it probably cost me a lot more than that to go and buy it tomorrow and set that up.
No,
well, you need to run the numbers. You need to quote.
A 6.5 or a 5 kilowatt system, which is most likely what you're getting there by the sounds of things. If it's 18 panels, you can get it for as cheap as 1/10 of that amount. So you can get it for as cheap as $2,500, but you generally get what you pay for. You know, you can get pretty much the top quality panels with a 25-year product, 25-year performance warranty, top quality inverters for $7,000-8,000. And if you're paying anything more than that, it's only because, you know, you've got a very difficult install, or you're going for Rolls-Royce components. You know, pretty much, you know, so I'm talking SMA, Fronia, Solar Edge inverters. I'm talking
that's including a battery as well, right?
What's that?
That's including a battery as well, right?
That would be extra. Oh, for me, yes, they're including batteries. I think they said 4.
4 batteries. Okay. Do you know what brand?
No, don't know that.
Well, now that sounds incredibly cheap, so that can't be right either.
It won't be Powerwalls. It'll be 4 batteries of some
4 kilowatt hours.
It would probably be a BYD, 4 modules of 2.76 kilowatt.
Because looking at the figures, if it was for a Powerwall and a top of the range solar panel system, that could come out at about that price.
Then I'd go for it, because then you're effectively getting an interest-free loan. So
yeah, it depends what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, I did also want to get a couple of quotes to just have someone price it up that I purchased it myself and just owned it. I kind of like that idea better anyway. But I just haven't had a chance to get that far yet.
Yeah, it's always good to have a check, just to know that have a that rental model, and also then to buy it yourself, and you just compare. And like Pete said, just if it costs an extra 10% to rent it, then that's fine, total. But if it costs double, you can source that money a lot cheaper via, you know, other means. You know,
there's you can get peer-to-peer loans, green loans at, you know, at 4 or 5% interest rates. So, you know, money's cheap at the moment. So, well, you know, your mortgage is probably, you know, 2.5% or something like that. So, not financial advice, but
yeah. We'll put it this way: if I could get a system for around, if I could actually purchase a system for around 15 to 20,000, I'd probably rather do that and then own it myself. But I guess you know, you're still going to be paying for servicing and maintenance and things like that over the course of a few years.
If you've got a good system, there really isn't much maintenance that you really need to be doing. You know, it's probably prudent to do, you know, a few things, but apart from checking that no rodents have eaten through the wiring, making sure the system is producing what it should, that all the nuts are screwed on properly. Don't forget, the first application of solar panels was to power satellites in outer space. So they're a solid state device. They were designed, you know, it's obviously not cheap to service things in outer space. So they were designed to function pretty much without maintenance. So yeah, if you've got a good system, you know, if you're not getting too much dust or dirt or some other contaminants on the panels, you know, I've had my system in for 10 years and I haven't touched it. So yeah.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
And it's still producing, you know, still doing great. So.
No, it's good to get your opinion. Yeah, it's interesting. Definitely be looking into it a little further before I go ahead with anything.
Yeah, you don't want to have that sort of sticker shock where you're locked into the contract and you find out later that perhaps you could have got a lot cheaper, you know.
Absolutely, yeah.
But yeah, it's exciting. It's so how long ago had you ordered your car?
I ordered it last week of January.
Oh, okay, so you're going to wait roughly 6 months.
I think so. Yeah, unfortunately, but you know, what do you do?
That's cool, because we've had other members who ordered their Model 3 on the day it was announced, and didn't get it for didn't get it for like 1,000 days.
Oh.
3.5 years.
3.5 years.
Hideous.
I ordered mine on the, I don't know if it was the 30th of March in Perth, or I think it was after midnight actually. So it might have been the 1st of April 2016, and got it in September 2019. So.
And to be honest with you, I've been watching every single second-hand Tesla that's come onto the market in Australia, and wondering whether it'd be worth buying it.
Yeah.
You know, their prices are not much cheaper than a brand.
I was just going to say that. Yeah, the prices are so marginal. You might as well just get your own brand new one, and that's only ever been yours.
And the truth is,
it's just for the sake of being impatient, really.
but the truth is, the best Teslas are the new ones, because even the Model 3s coming out now are quite superior to the ones that came out a mere couple of years ago.
So, even a year ago, they're superior to the one.
Yeah.
I've got a Model 3 Performance as well, and the one that you'll get will have a lot more range. You will have dual pane glass. You'll have a different console. You will have USB-C rather than USB-A ports. You will have wireless chargers.
The heat pump.
It will have a USB inside the glove box, so you can, you know, leave your phone and charge it in there. Well, you know, there's so many.
Yeah, and you'll have the reverse cycle aircon, so the heating will come from a heat pump rather than a resistive heater.
Yeah.
So in winter you'll get much better performance.
You'll have a much better paint job.
Yes.
Well, I've been watching and reading all your posts with interest about different things about the cars. So I'm going to be pretty full bottle by the time I get it. I'm going to like time it just right to get different accessories that I'm going to need, and
Excellent.
You know,
You're gonna love it.
what do you call them? The visors for the roof and all that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, the sunshades. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
There's two different ones. There's the ones that Tesla sells. They're about 120 or 110 bucks each. So there's a couple of them. I've got those. I've got the original Tesla ones, and they do make a difference, but I would argue it's marginal. And I've just been looking today. There are ones that are, because the Tesla ones are sort of like netting. They're see-through. There we go. Thanks, Harold. So yeah, there it is there. So it makes a marginal difference at best.
Yeah.
But there are other ones that are, that they claim they eliminate 2/3 of the thermal load. So I've just ordered those today. So I'm going to try those out, and I'll let you know whether there's much of a difference between one or the other, and then I'll have an extra set to sell. So.
Did any of you, I'm sure you did actually, get tinting done, and did you just go darkest legal scenario, or?
You got to be careful if you're getting tinting on the roof. So I got that done on my car. You just got to be careful, and you don't want to go too dark, because you're essentially the way the tinting works is it basically traps the heat inside the glass, and you don't want that glass. I mean, that glass gets pretty hot as it is on a hot summer's day, but you don't necessarily want that glass to be too hot, because there has been instances where people have put too much of a tint on that glass and it has cracked. And and I'm not sure if Tesla would cover that, and it wouldn't be a cheap exercise to replace that glass. So just got to be really careful with that.
Funny you should mention that, Pete, because I actually want to get the whole rear of the Model S tinted. All right. Well, I'm glad you said that. Have you got a company that knows what they're doing that you could recommend?
I just used Tintercar, the guys in where were they? They in Bearswood. No, not Bearswood. No, not Bearswood. I'll find out and I'll text you. But just ask around on Facebook and that. The guys seem to have the guy that I used knew exactly what I was talking about. So he seemed to have done quite a few Teslas before. Just ask around and get on the forums and I remember at the time I got it done. I did the same thing, researched it all, and I was full bottle on it at the time. But you just don't want to go too dark. You don't want to trap too much heat in that glass.
Just like Charlene said, I was going to go darkest legal, because our little Bub's now in the car seat. He keeps getting blazed with the sun coming in, so I was going to go darkest legal. But if that's a factor as well, then that'll.
And I didn't do that on the side windows, and retrospectively, I wish I did. So on the sides, I wish I went darkest legal. I didn't. Definitely wouldn't recommend that for the roof.
Okay.
And obviously you want infrared, your titanium type tints that reject the infrared. Because that's the main point of tint, unless you've got a limo, is just to reject the heat. A Model 3s, just by coincidence, are they? Do they have any tinting behind the driver, or all the windows clear? The side windows, Pete.
There's a little bit of tinting on the side windows, but the passenger windows are a lot darker out of the factory.
The rear windows.
The rear windows, sorry. Right. They're a lot darker than the front ones.
So that's similar to my Model X. So what happened with my X was I got the front windows tinted to match the back ones, which were a fair bit dark. Well, they've got dark tint, which is legal, but that's what they are. And when the place I went to, I couldn't get the really good, well-performing tint, like the titanium type tint, because if I did on the front windows, well, the side, the driver's window and front passenger window, if I did, it would look different to the back windows. So I got the conventional sort of, I guess it's like a neutral density tint, like it's just a darker sort of, lack of light type tint, still legal, but to match the back windows. So I'm not sure.
Have all Model X's been tinted rear windows from the start?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
So the Falcon wing door windows and the little quarter window, they're quite, well, relatively dark tint as standard. And then the front windows, the driver's window and the front passenger window had no tint. So
this might be a silly question. How does an aftermarket tint work? Is it just a film that goes?
Film that goes on the inside of the window.
Oh, the inside. Okay.
Yeah, it goes on the inside, and
that's why it traps the heat in the glass.
Yeah, I see. Yeah. I see.
So I couldn't get the better performing tint, which had like titanium particles or whatever, sort of slightly silvered, because if I did that, then the front would have looked a bit more silvery than the back part. So I just got the less optimal tint, but it looked a bit nicer. So that's one of the trade-offs. So that's why I was interested to see whether the Model 3 had any tinting in the back windows, because then you have that trade-off of strict performance versus the looks.
Aesthetics.
Yeah.
I guess could just ask Tesla and see who they recommend to tint windows, and then I guess they cover that for any issues.
I think, to be honest, Tesla won't have a distinct opinion, as long as it's quality tint, as opposed to some of the really cheap stuff that you see still being applied to cars that's bubbling and all that sort of stuff. So I dare say the tinter cars that Pete mentioned. I mean, I, for instance, used I think a company called Solar Band. They do a fair bit of commercial stuff for car dealers and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
I think they actually do the Land Cruisers for up north, where they have to actually put a clear film on the inside of the windscreen, and that's a mining company policy, just in case there's a big bundi that gets thrown up and you don't get the little shards of glass coming into the cabin from the laminated glass.
I've had a few screens, go out like that on me up north. But all ours are all tinted for sure.
But they have to be. And the windscreen is actually, it's not tinted, but it's got a clear film to protect you. Yeah. Hi Joe, how you going? Good to see you in person.
Hi, I'm here. I was just going to say though that we haven't tinted any of our windows and it's all fine. And we've got kids in the back. Doesn't bother them.
I think the 3 might be different now, because don't forget my S is 2015.
I'm not comparing it to yours, but I'm comparing it to the 3s that, yes, there is tinting on the back windows, and it's definitely tinting on ours because I can tell when you wind the window down, it's too bright. I can't see out, but put the window up and I can see. It's fine.
So you're saying Charlie might not need to worry about it based on yours being... So you're saying Charlie might not need to worry about it?
I'm saying with the 3s, see what you think first. But
definitely.
It's just like everyone's saying everyone's tinted their cars. Well, actually, you don't need to.
Fair point.
The other consideration also is, and I find this when I'm reversing, especially into a garage that's a little bit darker, I find I need to drop my windows to be able to see.
You can't see out of your tinted windows.
I can't, exactly, yeah. So it's only if I'm looking inside in the mirrors, but what I've learned to do is just to use that awesome reversing camera now. So, if you want to use your mirrors, especially if you're going from a bright spot into a darker spot, you'll find it easier if you roll down the windows.
I've got for you. Sorry, it's going to change the subject a little. I'm getting white upholstery, and just because it's Rockstar.
Awesome.
But I've got children. Well, they're bigger, they're teenagers. But how easy really is it to clean that white upholstery? Or is it, you know, Harry says, oh, it's all easy to clean, don't worry about it. But, you know, spray and wipe. But I'm thinking, really, would you use spray and wipe on your upholstery? I don't know.
Yeah, the only thing, like I've got black interior, so I can't talk, and I don't know. So Harold, you've got cream sort of interior.
No, I've got cow, all cow, all organic cow leather interior.
Okay, yeah.
But I've heard. Oh, that's an old Model X. It's 4 years. In fact, it's 4 years and a week old today.
So it's the pre-vegan seats.
It's proper leather, real leather. But that's a Model X. But I've heard with the spray and wipe or Windex. And look, you can look at
baby wipes.
Or baby wipes. Yep.
That's people saying.
One thing
it's all synthetic. It's all artificial. It's plastic. You know, that's just been
Vinyl.
Or vinyl. It's been weirdly, it's a polymer. It's been weirdly made so that it feels like leather and it feels supple and it feels quite lovely, really.
It feels great. Yeah, it feels as good, if not better, than leather. But it's it's definitely vegan. One thing to be careful of is just jeans. So from what I've seen on YouTube, and so that seems to be the biggest issue is especially if you have really dark jeans that are new and you haven't washed them yet, and you do a long trip, you'll find marks in the seats from the denim.
Now you're freaking me out.
No, don't worry, because it does come out. It comes out.
It does come out. It just
Use baby wipes.
Remember Stonewash in the 90s? That they were a big thing. Just get Stonewash and it'll be perfect. But no,
my kids would never talk to me again if I did something like that.
But don't worry. It's very washable, and I don't think it's any worse than leather, to be honest. So, look, even my car, I've got signs of blue bits on my cream-coloured Model X, and they're leather seats. But to be honest, I haven't bothered to clean them. So I'm sure if I get the leather wipes or baby wipes or any wipes, it'll mostly come off.
And so you haven't cleaned your seats in 4 years, Harold?
He hasn't got young kids.
I didn't mean for it to come out like that, but I was trying to make the point is that
what I mean is
you don't have to worry about cleaning it. So.
Yeah, and to be honest, I haven't really cleaned them much. No, I did. I've probably cleaned them once or twice, and it's amazing how much dirt comes off. Like you don't notice it. It's just, they do clean really well, and that's natural leather, but which is inferior to the white. The all white seats.
You think so?
The leather is inferior, absolutely, because leather is made by an animal, whereas these white seats have been made by science and chemists, chemical engineers that have worked out how to manipulate stuff to be amazing. It's
that said though, if you put a lot of hair gel in. We've seen a situation where the vinyl, the vegan leather started to bubble up a little bit. So, one of the Tesla Owners Club members, just where he puts his head on the headrest and he uses gel in his hair. And Tesla have told him that, it's because of his hair gel. So,
oh dear.
Yeah.
So no gel, Charlene.
No, it's fine to use gel, but you just got to remember to wipe down the headrest.
Yeah.
Every now and then.
So basically, Telstra just said, "Too bad, don't stop using hair gel." And I guess he was trying to get compensation or get it replaced or something, was he?
Yeah, and to be honest, I'm of the opinion that if it's appropriate to put on a human body and then that body then is sat in a car, then whatever's in the car ought to cope with normal stuff.
So, to be perfectly honest, it's very hard for any objective person to defend Tesla in this instance. Like Harold said, you know, if you're putting it on your hair, surely it rubbing off on the seat should be part. And it's not like, you know, using hair gel is something that only a fraction of the population does. It's a fairly mainstream hair product. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I used to
not trying to defend Tesla, but plastics have, every plastic has an Achilles heel. If you can find a solvent that will affect that plastic, it won't stand up, you know, and you'd be surprised at the sorts of things that will actually act as solvents to plastics. I mean, people just take them for granted, and it's just, you shouldn't do that.
And I completely go ahead.
Yeah, that's true, Mike. I've actually got a it's a stick-on wall stopper for, like, you know, where you put it in line where your doorknob is going to hit the wall. It's like a little cream-colored little sort of square that's slightly chamfered, and it was stuck on, and I don't know what it was that touched that little bit of rubbery plastic thing, but it basically caused it's actually disintegrated and run down the wall.
Yeah,
like
I've seen that before.
It's dripped. It's actually completely just crapping itself and dismantling itself and running down the wall. And it's like, so you're right, Mike. If you can find the kryptonite, the plastic will just, or whatever it is, will just sit there and just disintegrate. It's probably a bacteria or something, or God knows what, but it's amazing.
I mean, from that angle, leather is actually far superior to any plastic because leather won't have that problem for the most part.
Yeah.
But you know,
I wasn't super impressed that we had artificial leather. But what do you do? It's what it is, and I guess you just got to trust in the process. Tesla thinks it's good enough for their cars. It must be okay.
Well, look, in every other respect, is like Harold said, is as good, if not superior to leather. So, but yeah, I would argue that just because it can happen doesn't necessarily mean it should happen. You know, yeah. So and if it's likely to happen, well, then it should be in the manual somewhere. There should be a warning, you know, that tells you that if you use a lot of hair gel, maybe you should wipe it down once a week. You know, they should tell you. So that's what the owner, you know, was complaining about. And like I said, it's hard not to agree with him on that point.
There should be like a little, well, it's like clothing has little how to wash, you know, list of, you know, cold iron, don't tumble dry, blah, blah. These seats or anything for that matter ought to have, you know, do this, do that, and don't do certain things. But no, look, the white looks awesome. I must admit, I bought my car entirely sight unseen. Like, there were no Model X's in Australia when I ordered my car. In fact, I waited 3 years for my car. And I wanted to get the white, but I just didn't quite dare do it because I just wasn't sure. So I thought I went pretty safe and went for the cream. But the next car, well, I've already ordered a Model X, which is coming soon next year. And that's got white seats.
Very jealous. That's, if I had my way, that's exactly what I would have got. I'd prefer the Model X, but it's just
2023.
When I grow up a little bit more, maybe I can get the X.
Oh, but when you grow up, you can get a Cybertruck, and that's a big girl's truck. That's
damn right.
Too big. I'm trying to downsize here.
Hey, trying to right size.
You know, it only looks big on the outside. When you're inside and you got the screens and all that stuff, it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. Anyway.
I'll be excited to see your X when you get it.
Yeah, in 2022. Thanks, Tesla. Because when I ordered it, as Lester, who was on before, when he ordered his S, it was due to arrive in March, and you know, he had to wait until 2022, and instead got, well, fortunately for him, he was able to get you know, the current model, you know, one of the very rare ones that was still in existence. But yeah, it's not until next year that S's and X's are back on the market.
Wow.
But one alternative, Charlene, maybe after you've sort of enjoyed your 3 for a while, is Model Y. You know, that's sort of a baby X. Well, it's not actually a baby X. It's not much smaller than an X, to be honest.
The winged.
Yes.
Oh, I'm having it then. Yeah.
Oh, look, the Falcon Wing doors they're a great party trick. They really are.
It makes you think of a DeLorean, right?
Charlene, sorry, the Model Y doesn't have those doors.
No.
Oh.
Yes, the Model Y.
It's the same as your Model 3. It's just a little bit taller.
No.
And rather than having a sedan boot, it's got the hatchback. So like the Model S and the Model X.
Yeah, no, I think I'd go X after the 3 for a while. We'll see what happens.
Cool.
Well, there might be a Model X coming up for sale soon, might there, Harold?
So what you're saying, Charlene, is that your Model 3 is the gateway drug to the Model X. It's that stepping stone.
I don't know. Well, there might be something else coming out in 2 or 3 years' time. Maybe one of those roadsters or something like that.
Oh yes. Yep, roadster. But if you got the Plaid Plus Model S, that would cost you $230,000 and would do 0 to 100 k's an hour in about 2 seconds.
Wow.
Pretty much faster than any other production car, really.
That's faster than the currently declared Roadster, or about as fast as what they declared the Roadster was going to be a couple of years ago. But
you need a car that can get to that speed that quickly.
Oh, of course.
If that's not fast enough, you can buy a Roadster, which will do 0 to 100 in about 2 seconds.
What's the point? Where are you going to drive this car?
Well, then you can get the SpaceX package, which will add cold nitrogen thrusters, like little rockets that they use on the Falcon 9 rockets and Starship, and that'll provide.
So rocket boosters, basically.
Little cold air thrusters. So it's like ultra high pressure air compressor or air.
Is it 15,000 psi or something?
Yeah, I think they're
so ridiculous. Yeah.
So it basically uses a 1,000 atmosphere or 500 atmosphere scuba tank, but it's COPV. It's composite overwrapped pressure vessel, so it's got carbon composite fiber and all that sort of stuff in the back. So you get no back seats. So I don't know if you know about the Roadster, but the Roadster is a 4-seat car, 2-door 4-seat. But if you get the SpaceX package, you forego the small back seats, and it will provide 3 tons of thrust when you activate the SpaceX package. So that will take your Roadster from 0 to 100 in less than 1 second. And to put that into perspective, Formula One territory is between about 1 and 2 seconds. So it'll be faster than a Formula One car.
So you'll be there at 2 a.m. on the Mitchell Freeway, giving it a crack?
Well, put it this way, if you put your foot down, you'd get to 100 k's an hour before you finished crossing the intersection. That's how fast it is.
So you get to the freeway speed before the second set of lights.
When you put it that way, yeah.
I have to tell you this story because I've been wanting to get a Tesla for years, and I finally said to my husband, right, my next car is going to be a Tesla, and he's like, no, we're not there yet, we haven't got the chargers, blah 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 blah. So I said to him, just come for a test drive with me, and he very reluctantly, he came in the car, looked at the car, and I said, now you get to drive, I'm going to let you drive it. I think we got 45 minutes to test drive the car. And
that was by yourselves? That was,
hey?
Yeah, that was by yourselves?
Yep.
Awesome.
And so within 5 minutes of driving this car, he's like, "Oh my God.
Excellent. Well done.
You can get the car." He was like, "Oh, yeah." I guess you don't know what it feels like until you drive it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
More the experience of driving it was more than I expected. So yeah. So yeah, I was very lucky. Very lucky.
Well done.
And you're dead right. For us sort of crusty old Tesla owners, it's sort of like, it sounds obvious to us, but it's wonderful when someone hasn't driven the car before, just gets it from the first drive. And that's when the car's really weird, because you've never driven it before. You're not used to the regeneration, so that feels a bit weird, when you take your foot off and it sort of retards, a bit like you're stuck in second gear sort of thing in a manual. But for you to get it the first time is awesome. Yeah, you'll never go back. You will never ever want to drive a petrol car ever again, ever.
It's a bit like you've now got used to an iPhone and someone hands you a Nokia flip phone and says, use this from now. You're never going to go back to the Nokia flip phone after you've been using a smartphone. So, but yeah, the thing is that feeling that you and your husband had after that first drive, what's great is that feeling just endures. We've had nothing but electric cars. Well, we've had 2 electric cars since April 2016, but we only had the Tesla since September of 2019. And because you get a over-the-air software update on average every 3 or 4 weeks, roughly. And, when I got my car, it didn't have Netflix. It didn't have single pedal driving. It was a little bit slower. It had a little bit less range. And all these things have come since I've had the car. So the car has gotten better while I've had it. It's improved while I've had ownership of it, which is, you don't get that with any other car.
One of the great things that Elon Musk has said is that when you first get your car, that will be the worst it'll ever be.
Exactly.
And it will actually improve with age, which is the opposite to any other ordinary car, where when you first get it, that's the best it'll ever be. It'll only ever go downhill from there.
Absolutely. Yeah. And he also said that, different people have different opinions on this, but I totally believe it. But he said these are going to be the first cars, apart from limited edition or exotic cars, that are actually going to appreciate rather than depreciate in value over time. So sure, the wheels, the chassis, the battery, the steering wheel, the screen, everything else will depreciate, but it's that little chip inside the car, the self-driving chip, which he said that once full self-driving is fully fledged, it might be worth $100,000 US.
How long do you think it will be before the Australian government allows it?
That's the right question to ask.
and the right answer to that is it's a brave politician that will stand up to statistics, because can you imagine a politician that's standing in the way of self-driving cars when, let's say New Zealand or the UK or US or some other jurisdiction has allowed full self-driving, and they can demonstrate the statistics, and you can take those statistics to the politician and you can say, as a result of you dragging your feet for the last 30 days, there's been an extra 1,500 people that have died needlessly. So it's a brave politician that will stand up to that.
Yeah,
and
but
already the statistics are.
But it already happens now with the number of people that die from direct results of breathing fossil fuel pollution every year, and nothing is done.
Absolutely true, but there's a difference, because if someone dies from, from lung cancer, that doesn't make the 5 o'clock news. But if someone puts their car into a tree, that's on the news. That's the difference. And actually, those statistics are, and more people die prematurely in Australia every year from air pollution than from the road toll.
Oh, by far, yeah.
One problem they'll have is, let's say self-driving cars were twice as safe as human-driven cars. So if Australia's death toll is, say, 2,000 per annum, and if self-driving cars only killed 1,000, the problem is humans are really accepting of what has always happened. So everyone just accepts there's a certain road toll, and that humans are not paying attention and they just make mistakes. But as soon as one self-driving car kills one human being, that'll be worth 100 human deaths or human-caused deaths. So the problem is, it's people's attitudes have to change. But in pure economic terms or rational terms, as soon as a full self-driving car is slightly better than a human-driven car, you should just change over universally and just do it. And once it's 10 times better, it's just a no-brainer. Like Pete says, no politician would ever stand in the way of something that's 10 times safer, because they
and the statistics are already, I mean, they fluctuate seasonally, but during the better seasons, and I'm not sure if that's summer or winter now in the US. Actually, it would be summer. Sorry, I think in summer. So the stats are that the likelihood of a car accident in an average American car is 1 in 500,000 miles. If you're driving a Tesla with active safety features turned on, which they, always are, it's about 1 in 3.5 million miles. And the summer statistics are, if you've got autopilot on, so self-driving on, and if you're using it the way it was designed to be used, it's 1 in 5 million miles. So roughly 1 in 5 million versus 1 in 500,000. So it's already 10 times safer than you, me, or anyone else driving. So yeah, and those numbers arguably, one would hope that they only get better from here, although, autopilot is being used in wider scenarios, including, suburban driving and roundabouts now and all the rest of it. But yeah, but then, the opposite of that is what Harold was saying. If someone dies in a car accident, well, it's nowhere near as bad as if someone dies from a shark,
attack,
taken by a shark. So yeah, it's got that human psychology component to it, and human cognitive bias.
Yeah, indeed.
Have you heard anything about the portability of the FSD?
It's going up. So Elon has said on Twitter that when FSD beta comes out in Australia, so let's hope soon, or any jurisdiction, it will increase the price by $2,000 US. So when Harold and Ken and some of the first OGs, when they bought their cars, it was sort of around the $4,500–6,000 Australian mark. When I bought mine, it was 7,100, then went to 8,500. Now it's 10,100. And as soon as the latest version comes out, it will probably be around 13,000 Australian. So, and I would hazard a guess that increase will only accelerate, because I think FSD will start getting, I think we're right on the cusp of the exponential part of the S curve, where, once it starts learning, the first parts take a very long time, but yeah, once it hits its strides, it really starts to improve very fast.
But one
we don't have any indication about whether we can port it between vehicles.
No, that's not going to happen. But what will happen is there'll be a rental. You'll be able to basically pay as you go. So,
but Harold, there's speculation. Remember, Green the Only, the hacker, So he was able to uncover, correct me, you might have to correct me here, Harold, but something along the lines of the FSD being linked to your account rather than your car for future. So I think that was to do with subscriptions. So the idea, or maybe the speculation, is that it's linked to your account rather than the car when you're on a subscription model.
Yeah, but I think yes, but the subscription model is pay as you go, or paid monthly, or paid by some time interval, which I think in US dollars has been guessed at being at least $200 a month to have FSD. And like Pete alludes to, it might even be, well, what would be great is if it was portable to any Tesla you drove. If you pay $200 US a month, it would have FSD unlocked, which would be very logical because you can only drive one car at a time. So that would be quite good. But Tesla will never allow, which had some great unfairnesses. So for instance, you could pay $10,100 for your brand new Model 3, and you go and insure your car, and if it's written off tomorrow, sorry, the day after tomorrow, even though Tesla has, even though that value is intangible, it's just a software switch. But Tesla will not say to you, well, when we give you the new car, you can just transfer that day-old $10,000 worth of FSD. They'll say, no, well, that's gone with the old car. You've got to pay it again. Now, obviously, in any fair-minded person would say, well, that's a little bit unfair because the software is an intangible object. It's just a software switch. But Tesla do that. So you can't extract the $10,000 value from your old car and transfer a part of it to the new car. At best, what you can do now is just pay as you go. Well, it hasn't happened yet, but it's due to happen, well, in the next few months, according to Elon. I think it was Q2 or I think he said early this year. But getting back to the price of FSD, one good thing though is if you haven't already paid for it, you don't have to stress about it suddenly going up in price and you missing the opportunity to buy it at the lower price. So even in the States, they've had approximately a week from when Elon has basically said, well, Elon said 3 days, but he stretched it out to a week after everyone kicked up and created a fuss. So if you've got your car and you're driving it and you haven't committed to FSD, you'll have about a week from when a price rise is announced to when you have to decide whether you're going to buy it now at the cheaper price or still wait and see. And even if you haven't received your car yet, I don't know if you can go to your My Tesla account, but you could certainly ring Harry or is it Joel or Josh, and say, hey, I want to get FSD before the price goes up, and they'll just arrange it. So you can afford to sit by and just see how it goes. And obviously,
as long as you keep your finger on the pulse.
Yes, So look, one good pro tip, what I personally do is I've downloaded the Teslarati app on my phone. So that way, just with that one app, I get all the Teslarati news. They're one of the Tesla, I guess you'd call it almost like a news
aggregator.
Yeah, yep. There's also Electrek, but they're really just a website. So, I mean, Teslarati, they're great. Look, they all feed off each other's articles anyway. So if you've got something like that and you look up Tesla stuff, once every day or two, you will find out about these price rises if and when they occur. Well, when they occur. Australia is actually, I think, cheaper than the States for FSD because in the States, they've already priced in some of the more advanced features that we can't get here yet, which is basically the FSD beta. So yeah, so don't stress if you don't have to rush to pay down the $10,100. And I think this still works, but isn't it cheaper, Pete, if you buy it after you receive the car, because you don't get the luxury car tax?
Exactly, but once it goes up by that $3,000, it starts to get marginal. So the benefit, of the luxury car tax versus one or the other, they start to offset each other, cancel each other out. Yep.
And one good thing to quickly cover is, you may say, well, why get FSD now when it can't drive by itself? So one of the reasons is when you first get your car, so Lester, you've got your car. I presume, have you got FSD?
Me?
Yes.
No.
Cool. Okay. So what your car can do, and what every brand new Tesla can do, is you've got autopilot. So it'll do lane keeping and traffic aware cruise control. So you can go in to stop traffic on the freeway or any well-marked road, and it'll do that perfectly successfully. What it won't do is automatically stop at stop signs, give way signs, intersections, traffic lights, and similar things. It won't change lanes on your command. So you'll have to do that yourself. You can't use what's called navigate on autopilot, whereby you navigate, say on the freeway and you navigate to somewhere off the freeway, it'll automatically take the exit off the freeway for you. So that's what the standard car will not do. It also won't do automatic parking. So it won't do perpendicular or parallel parking. But if you do buy FSD, you'll get perpendicular parallel parking, you'll get automatic lane changes on Navigate and Autopilot, or you'll get semi-automatic lane changes when you're on autopilot. So say you're in the middle of the freeway, middle lane of the freeway, if you just click on your indicator stalk, it will then, as long as it can detect your hands on the steering wheel, it will automatically change lanes, providing there's nothing blocking it. So say if there's a car alongside you, it will, depending on the position of the car, it will either just wait until that car has moved ahead of you, or it may actually slow down slightly to get the gap, because it can actually see cars behind you as well. So if it sees a gap, the car's sort of slightly ahead of you, but in the way, and there's no car a fair way behind you, it'll slightly slow down and then just tuck in behind that car.
I've got to pick you up on you forgot the most important thing, Harold. The most important feature.
Which one, Pete?
Oh, summon.
Oh,
summon.
Yes. Oh, sorry, yes, of course, yes.
The party trick.
Yes. So you can have your car parked. Is it 100? Is it 100 meters? 80 meters?
50 to 60 meters.
50 to 60 meters.
Up to 50 to 60 meters. Yeah.
In a car park or whatever, it has to be off the road, so it can't cross a road reserve. And
it can be a public road.
Yes, and it will basically come and get you most of the time, or should I say many times, or almost all the time. I don't know. I haven't used it for a bit. But yes, that's right. Yes. Great
and look, it's still learning. It's not, it's not 100% there yet, but it will put indicators on by itself. It will go around curbs. It will stop for pedestrians, and come and find you. Sometimes, you'll be going back and forth and stopping and going forward and then stopping again. And you sort of scratch your head wondering what it's doing. But look, it works more often than it doesn't. So, and if it's a fairly straightforward situation, like like a fairly straightforward car park, it's yeah, it's pretty good. Does it 7-8 times out of 10. And if you've got a Model S or a Model X, it will even open the door for you once he gets there. Correct, Harold?
No, not the S. No.
No. Okay.
No, only those that drive the Fabergé eggs of cars. That
Excuse
beats Model
me.
X.
Excuse me.
Hey, that's what Elon Musk described the Model X.
Yeah, true.
It's the Fabergé egg of cars.
It's just my jealousy coming through. Harold, just ignore it.
That's all right, Pete. You might be able to get a Model X sometime when Tesla can be bothered to build them.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, that's right. So that is the killer. That's the killer app on FSD is Summon, and it's great when you see someone that's never seen a Tesla before, and they just look into the car and they go, "Oh my God, there's no one driving it," and you go, "Yeah, so," and they just freak out. It's awesome. It's amazing.
I had a lady come up to me, this is no exaggeration, and she put her hand on my shoulder and she said, excuse me, I've never seen this woman before in my life. And she said, excuse me, I'm so sorry, but I just need to ask you this. That car was that car driving by itself? And I just said, yes. And she went, oh, thank goodness. And I said, why? She said, oh, I thought I was going mad. No joke.
Oh dear. Yeah.
So when the car automatically brakes because someone's pulled in front of you, like when you're on cruise control, I presume that the brake lights come on.
Yes. Oh yes.
Yes.
But not when you're regenerative braking. When you
no, even then they come on.
They come on, do they?
They do if you're braking, if the regen braking is strong enough. So if it's quite mild, or if you just feather the throttle. In fact, you can actually tell this, you can see this yourself, Lester, because if you look on your binnacle at your car, it shows a car in the lane.
All right.
It actually, it shows the brake lights and the indicators as they are on the car itself.
Oh, okay.
So next time you're on autopilot, just have a closer look at the binnacle and you'll be able to see if you take, well, if it's slowing down for a car in front, you'll be able to see it actually show the little brake lights.
Because autopilot and cruise control are sort of different, aren't they?
Yes.
Very different.
Yeah, I've only used cruise control because, you know, I'm sort of like freaking out a bit when I'm not in control, you know?
What you need is exposure therapy. So have you got autopilot switched on your car? So in the controls, you've got it enabled?
Yeah.
So you can, okay, so what you do is, on your screen, on your MCU, you'll see a little car symbol on the lower right-hand corner. Just press that, and that's the main, that'll bring up the main menu items.
Yep.
And there'll be a tab called Autopilot. Now, on your car, it may or may not be enabled. So there'll be like a little button or switch. So you've got to do this while your car is stopped and in park.
Yeah.
And you just press Enable Autopilot if it's not enabled. And then of course, as you know, for cruise control, you just pull down your cruise control stalk just once, one notch. If you want autopilot, sorry, no, you pull it towards you.
Towards you, yeah.
Towards you. Actually, for cruise control, you can also pull it down.
Okay.
Because it can go towards you and also down and up actually.
Right.
So either down or towards you once will engage cruise control. And obviously to increase your speed on cruise control, you just notch it upwards.
Yeah, I've tried. Yeah, that works really well. Yeah, and then push it away from yourself, and it'll take it out of it. Yeah.
Yes, or you can just tap your foot on the brake.
Yeah.
Just very briefly.
Yeah.
But to engage autopilot, you pull the stalk towards you twice in succession.
Right.
And
okay.
it will only be enabled when you see that a grey steering wheel symbol on your binnacle. So you normally see a grey speed limit symbol, which means that you can engage cruise control. When you see the grey steering wheel symbol, then you can do a double tap towards you on that stalk and you'll be in autopilot. Now, yeah, I know it's a bit freaky. It feels freaky at first, but the great thing is you've got really good visualization on the binnacle as to what the car can see, because it shows the lanes, it shows cars beside it and along behind it, in front of it. It even shows the car in front of the car in front of you, because it can bounce the radar under the car in front of you, and it can detect that there's a car in front of it. So
that actually happened. That actually happened to me on the freeway. So,
and there are classic videos where people have tested it, and there's been some footage where cars have crashed in front of the Tesla, but the car was actually slowing down before the incident happened, because it detected the car in front of the car in front of you slowing down, and actually put its brakes on before the car in front of you worked that out, and then smashed into that car.
That actually happened to me on the freeway once. Yeah, the car suddenly went beep, 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 and started slowing down, and then the car in front of me realised that something was happening and slammed on the anchors. So that's only ever happened once in 4 years, but that was awesome.
Yeah, me too.
So the car, it never gets tired. It can make mistakes, but it never gets tired. So it won't be long before, if you do a little bit of autopilot, you'll just get so used to it, and it's just such a wonderful driving experience.
So you just drive it normally yourself, do you, when you're on autopilot?
No, I don't touch the wheel. Like, you just leave it. Let the car do its thing.
You have your hands on the wheel. So so important thing to mention is you're still 100% responsible for the car. For every, so you're driving. Any error that autopilot makes is on you.
Sure.
So you've got your hands on the wheel, but it's rather than actually making every tiny little micro adjustment with the steering wheel, you're just sort of overseeing it do its thing. So it's a bit like, if you imagine that it's a P driver that's got a hold of the wheel. So he'll probably be okay in most situations, but you still need to keep an eye on him. That said, if you use, so I've done about 38,000 kilometers on my car, and who knows what the percentage is, but I reckon I've done over 20,000 on autopilot. So, if you use it for the situations that it was meant to be used, at this current level of development, so, freeways, highways, and you can use it now on suburban roads with lights, but you just got to be a little bit more careful. But freeways and highways, whenever we go down south, the 3.5 hour journey, 3 hours of it, the car will be driving itself.
Amazing.
So, yeah.
I guess too, the more you use it, the more confidence you'll get in it. So
but you can go the other way. So, there have been drivers that have got too confident with it. Yep. And then when something's happened, they were watching a movie or, or doing something silly. So, as long as you don't get overconfident, there's obviously an optimal level. Yeah.
Well, I've nearly done 1,000 Ks in mine.
Excellent.
I've done 165,000. Not that I'm bragging, but but it's just such a wonderful experience. You'll just find excuses to drive the long way home.
Yeah, I am already. I'm looking. I'll just go out for a drive.
Yep. Because it's just such a wonderful experience.
Yeah.
It really is.
I put one of those chargers in, and I'm getting about 35 Ks an hour. One of those big silver chargers.
Oh, okay. You should be getting a bit more than that. Should be getting about twice as much as that.
So you put one in at home, you mean?
Yeah.
Are you on single phase or three phase?
Only on single phase.
Oh, right. Yes. Yep. No, that's perfectly normal. That's exactly correct.
Yeah, we were going to run 3 phase from the other shed, but it was like about 100 or 50 meters underground. And I thought, well, I'll just do this first because the switchboard was only like about 10 feet away.
Yep.
So, and we ran 6mm cable and put a 40 amp breaker in. And
that's totally cool. Yeah. And look, overnight you'll be totally full. You can go from being totally flat to almost full overnight. So
exactly. Yeah.
So yeah.
I did have a few issues where it stops working, stops charging, and I tried to get it going again with my phone, but it wouldn't. So I had to actually go up to the car in the middle of the night and pull the charger out and plug it back in again, and then it's good to go. But it might be just a little glitch or something will sort itself out, you know.
One thing I found is a couple of times I found that I haven't pushed the plug-in hard enough.
Okay.
So
it's got a locking mechanism on it.
No, it's not so much that. It's if it's not fully in, you get like an orange. I think it's an orange light that says that charging rate is reduced or something, and it thinks that it's not properly mated.
Oh, okay.
So it's sort of, yeah, just consciously plug the car in quite firmly, so it's sort of like you can feel it resisting at the end.
Yeah, and then it goes to the green flashing light, and that's
Yes.
sort of pretty well tells you all's cool. Yeah.
It should be okay. Look, if it still does it over the next week or so, let us know, and you might want to do something about it.
Not a big issue, but it's just I think it's happened twice. Yeah.
So what's happened? The car stopped charging.
Yeah, I'll look at the car, or, you know, I'll look at it on my phone, and it'll say it's stopped charging, and it's like it still hasn't got up to the line where I want it to go up to, you know, about 80% or whatever. And so I'll push the charge button on the phone, you know, to get it going again, and it won't start. So, but when I walk, so I go up to the car itself, and I'll usually open the door or something, and then I can pull the charger out, plug it back in again, and and it'll go right through till when it finishes. Yeah.
Okay. Shouldn't be doing that. I was thinking maybe you've got a charging schedule set up, either through the car itself or through a third-party app or something like that. But doesn't sound like that would be the case.
I don't know anything about it. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's
it's all very, very new to me, and I'm still sort of bumbling and stumbling around in the dark in a lot of things, you know.
Oh, it's cool, but you've got the rest of your ownership experience to find all these things out. I mean,
oh yeah, and I will. I find out little things all the time. It's good, yeah.
Oh, look, I've learned things after 3.5 years that someone who's had their car for a week already knew, and I'm like, oh wow, that's sort of interesting. You know, it's some of the some of the newest owners know things that the longest term owners didn't know, and vice versa. So
I just learned something new today So I learned today that you can use a voice command to turn on the review camera, which I didn't know. So yeah.
So what is that voice command?
Turn on review camera. It's something like that.
Of course it is. What else would it be?
Something pretty self-explanatory anyway.
What was the one to turn on?
Reverse camera, I think. Turn on reverse camera.
What was the one to turn on sentry mode? Keep someone safe. Keep
summer safe.
Keep summer safe. That's it. Yes. Whoever summer is. But anyway.
You can't put it on sentry mode or front dash cam unless you've got a USB plug in. Is that right?
That's correct.
Yes, because Lester's got an S, and that wouldn't have had the memory stick in it.
Yeah.
No, it
so you can buy several different storage devices. You can buy just an ordinary USB memory stick. That's the least ideal thing to do.
Yep.
You can buy a micro SD card, but you got to get the ultra high endurance ones, which are, I think SanDisk do it. It's like a grey color or silver color. I think
it's a grey and red. So half of it is grey and the other half is red.
Yeah.
Or the endurance SanDisk one is all white.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, the ultra high endurance. Yes, and you get like a little USB adapter that the micro SSD.
SDXD. Yeah.
Micro SD fits into, or you can just get a solid state drive, which you can get at any computer shops. You don't have to go Hollywood and get like a 256 gigabyte solid state drive if you don't want to, because all the new Model 3s and presumably the new S's and X's when they eventually arrive, they come with a 64 gigabyte, well, memory stick actually. I think Tesla's are memory sticks. So you could just go to a computer shop or Officeworks and get either the micro SD card with a little adapter or a solid state drive, USB.
I bought a 3 or 2 terabyte thumb drive.
Wow, cool.
They're only about 13 or 14 bucks. They're nothing. Cheap as.
No, can't be
terabyte. No, it can't be terabyte.
No, so the ones that, if you're interested, the ones that work out the best on a per megabyte per gigabyte basis is the 256 gig one. But with the micro SDs, you can get a 500 gig, 512 gig, and you can get a 1 terabyte one. That's as big as they go.
Wow.
They're a bit expensive. They're a few $100.
Oh,
for
okay.
the terabyte ones, yeah. But the 256 is $70 or something like that. Yeah. But yeah, sometimes the price that Officeworks or JB Hi-Fi charge can be fairly inflated. So just check on Amazon or online, and Officeworks will beat it by 10% if it's free shipping in Australia. So
because this did say 2 terabytes. So I wonder.
But so
I know it sounds really weird.
So how much was it, Lester?
About $15, including freight or something.
No way.
No way.
That's
maybe 2
gigabytes
recently. They're really cheeky. So if you plug it into a computer, it will say that it's 2 terabyte. All it's doing is it's just telling the computer it is 2 terabytes. It's not 2 terabytes.
Oh, right,
saying, okay. It's like having a front porch on a house and saying you've got a mansion behind the porch, but you've got a garden shed.
Yeah, right.
But yeah,
I was trying to get the front cameras and that Sentry mode, trying to get that working. So I'll have to get.
You've got to format. So when you go into the menu where it shows Sentry mode, and I forget which menu, safety or security, or
it's under security. Yeah,
security. There is a button to format the drive.
Yeah, I did that a couple of times, and it just kept saying format. It wouldn't actually do anything.
Yeah, it's probably because of that $15 2 terabyte thumb drive. I have something to do with it.
I haven't got that yet. But the other ones that I bought, they're probably highly suspect as well then.
The thing that Pete was saying was something like this: max endurance.
That's it.
Right.
Yeah.
So for instance, this is PLE computers. They're just a run-of-the-mill computer shop.
PLE, great.
And you can see
so that one there, that disc, SanDisk one.
Yeah, just underneath that is the red and black one.
Yeah.
Which is the Extreme Pro. Now you probably don't need to go to that level, but I've got one of those, and ever since I've had constant problems with it corrupting, and ever since I got one of those cards, I've never had an issue.
Yep.
So what do you put those into?
A little adapter, little USB adapter. So a micro SD USB adapter. But you want to, with that one, you want to get a good adapter as well. So get the SanDisk one or a proper branded one, because even with the that's not a.
No, that's not it.
But you want to get one that's just go into Google, Harold, and just type in USB micro SD adapter SanDisk, and it will come up.
Yeah, hang on, I'm just trying to find.
So there's those red and grey ones.
There's a SanDisk one. That's $19. Mobile mate, USB 3 micro SD card reader.
Right.
Yeah, there it is. That's the one.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's the
so
one that I've got, and that works brilliant.
$19.
I get that plus, or is that it?
You know,
No,
you
that's
get that
just
for
the
19.
adapter.
You get that
And
for
then you-
19, and then you go back to the whoops.
Oh, and you get that card you're talking
The
about.
SD flashcards, and we'll just sort by price. And say if you want to go a bit bigger, you can get the high endurance at $24, 64 gig, or like Pete suggested, which was the black and
On your left. $54, 256 gig right there. On the left, a bit further down. There it is. Yep, $54.
Yep. 54
Okay,
bucks.
let me just take a photo of that.
Oh, this will be on YouTube, Lester. You'll be able to see it on YouTube.
Of
Oh,
course.
that's cool. Yeah, take a photo. That's cool.
I knew that. Yeah, I find it easy. I just take a photo and then I got it.
Yeah, of course.
Actually, Harold, I'm starting to second guess myself. I'm not sure if the Ultra one's designed for dash cams.
Yeah, I thought it was I thought it was a max endurance.
Yeah, so you want the max endurance or the extreme Pro. So I don't think the Ultra one's designed for constant rewrites.
Yeah,
so
the 256 max endurance is $109.
Yeah, that's a bit more like it. Yeah.
Is that the one you reckon?
Well, that or the
get that.
128, or that one. Look, for $50, you'll get 128 gigabytes, which is tons.
Yeah, okay.
Because like I said, Tesla give you a 64 gig, and that works perfectly well. The only issue, the only reason why they fill up is because you forget to delete all the little video snippets that you've taken. Because all the car does is it records the last 60 minutes of video. And then if you, one other setting to do is under the safety setting for dash cam is set it so that if you honk the horn, it'll automatically save that footage. Because it's often when someone cuts you off or does something that you honk the horn, and that's where you want to save that sort of footage.
Yeah, right.
Or if you have a sentry event where someone gets too close to the car, the only reason why it'll fill up is if you haven't deleted all those old saved clips.
Can you delete that from the car, or do you have to go?
Yes, you can. Yes. So when you're sitting in the car parked, you just press on the icon and it will say save clip, or it'll say launch viewer. So then you can launch the viewer, and then you can actually select whether you want to look at all clips or just the Sentry mode events or the dash cam events.
Yeah, right.
And then you can just, when you actually press the button to save an event or honk the horn, or someone's gotten too close, there'll be like a little red dot on the player that tells you when that event was triggered, or which part of that footage the event was triggered. So then you can sort of like zoom in or zone in on the interesting bit.
Well, if you press on the red dot, it will fast forward to that part of the clip.
Does that work? Does it, Pete?
Yeah, that definitely works for the Model 3. Yeah, saves you watching the whole 1 minute.
No, I used to drag the slider to near it, and then sometimes it would be a bit jerky, like it would go back a bit, and then it wouldn't work properly. And yeah, cool.
Yeah, we do it every time. Every time I get back in the car, I check whatever the event was, look at it. It's usually someone parking next to us or something, and then delete it straight away. And we're just constantly doing that.
Yeah, either that or you'll find Ken in front of the camera.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I try and get the kids do that. If they see another Tesla part, they go and play in the camera.
The trick that people do is they go up, they see a Tesla and they go up to the camera and they go and look.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Speaking of looking, it's probably almost time that we should look at going to bed, because it's kind of late already, but it's been an awesome session. Hopefully informative and entertaining.
I love how many new people we've had.
Oh, it's awesome.
Yeah,
It's
fantastic.
It's great. And look, let's hope it continues doing so. It's fantastic. And you know, by the end of this month, there's going to be the best part of a couple of hundred more Model 3s on the road, which is just awesome. You know,
unless you want to charge somewhere.
Yeah, that's right. So poor old UWA is going to get hammered, but you know, that's just the economics of giving away something for free. It's the tragedy of the commons. You know, Richard, when you and I have had our cars, there weren't that many of them around, so we could stay there all day. But anyway, so yeah, so it's probably a good time to wrap up. Oh, big shout out to Damon with the burnt orange Model X.
You just keep rubbing it in, poor guy.
Thanks for watching, and everyone else. Joseph, I know you. Go on, Pete.
Oh, sorry, Harold. While you're doing the shout outs, I was speaking to Ashley this week. So yeah, he's doing really well. He's actually been watching the videos as well. So
well,
need
shout out to Ash. Thanks for watching.
Need to add him to the list. And yeah, he's going well. And yeah, maybe he hasn't been well enough to stay up and watch, but he watches the videos on YouTube. Yes, and yeah, so he's got a couple more rounds to go, and then he gets a scan and finds out if he's all in the clear. So,
well, all the very best, Ash. And like I say, well, one little product warning. I hope that watching these videos doesn't make you sick, but let's hope it doesn't. And yeah, all the very best. Yeah, best regards for a full recovery. And yes, to Damon, who watches us in half-hour snippets. Joseph, shout out to him as well, or to you, Joseph, and to everyone else. And hey, if anyone's watching this, you just put in a comment, like and subscribe. You know, tell us where we're going well and where we're not. Actually, what was the Talking Tesla guys were saying things like, the only reviews you should send is 5-star reviews. Although you could do 1-star ones, and I think it was Tom that was going to read those out, or Mel, one or the other. But,
you've met them, haven't you?
I've met Robert.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
okay.
Because you took him in, didn't you? He was your +1, wasn't he?
Hey. I'd love to meet them. Those guys have got me through some hard times.
Yes, indeed. No, great guys, great guys. But on that note, it's probably time to end this great YouTube video. Once again, thanks everyone for coming. For all those watching at home, like and subscribe, hit the notification bell, and yeah, hey, look after yourselves, and can't wait to see you guys all next week. Take care. Good night.
See you guys.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
Yeah.